for those looking to excel their careers in the music and business, this conference is a must for ones who are aspiring to take their career to the next level and also to learn important information about the industry and how does it work. Well, you will get to witness artists from all locations and walks of life who will come together and enlighten the audience with their expertise. There'll also be talks about music publishing, impact of technology in music. There'll be master classes on how to market your brand as a musician in the industry. There'll also be master classes on songwriting and much more. Well, it's a no surprise that this event will also be attended by some of the main gatekeepers in the music business, looking for the next big thing to take to the next level. Well, without further ado, let's kickstart with our day's agenda. First, we have a welcome note by Anil Vanwari, who's the founder, CEO, and editor-in-chief of IndianTelevision.com. Over to you, sir.
And also radioandmusic.com, Namrata.
Yes, radioandmusic.com too.
Yes, one of my passions, but very good afternoon to all the listeners, the viewers and panelists and folks from the music industry who are attending and those who are also not attending because of the fact that I'm opening the entire fest that we are having. But thank you for not attending. Thank you for attending. And thank you for coming later in the day also. So, why did we put together the music fest? Independent music for a long time has really been back in, I remember the times of when you had the Northeast bands performing, you had bands from West Bengal, you had bands from up north, we were performing, but they were not the mainstream. Bollywood has always captured the mainstream. And there has been the stranglehold of the major labels, the majors who've been absolutely, and of course, the major labels we are talking about, I don't want to name them for danger of being assassinated by them. But yeah, the major labels have been holding a stranglehold and promoting the artists they want. But thanks to the world of Spotify, YouTube, and many other platforms, digital platforms that have come on, there's been so much opportunity provided for independent artists all over India and all over the world. It was great going for a while until the pandemic came, and suddenly, and there were lots of people performing in hotels. There were people performing in before smaller audiences. There were closed groups, and opportunities were coming on television as well to a certain extent. But then pandemic came, and the entire independent music space had to evolve, and they had to go virtual. The monetization opportunity on virtual are limited, quite limited in terms of the kind of audiences you can draw or for a live on virtual, especially using Zoom and other such vehicles. So thankfully, they sustain themselves in some way or the other. What do? They do jingles. Sometimes they do background music for TV shows or for OTT shows, or they do background music, or they go and just perform at hotels. A lot of the independent musicians, to keep themselves going, the passion and the love for the art is what keeps them going. Now with the pandemic slowly retreating, live is coming back, and I really hope for the music space and the independent music space, live does come back in full glory. And we have all sorts of artists performing, whether it's a classical musician, Hindustani classical, or whether it's a jazz musician, or whether it's a pop artist who's creating his own music, or whether it's hip hop, whatever genre is there. And this entire audiences start flocking back to watching them perform live. And that's all my wishes. And through this Independent Music Fest, we hope to bring together the entire ecosystem, which is of independent musicians, whether it's smaller labels who want to help them, whether it's brands which want to work with them, or whether it's the musicians and artists who want to work with each other. So for me, the excitement is bringing this ecosystem together and helping them work closely with each other and possibly building a great future for each other. I hope the Independent Music Fest serves that purpose, and that was the intent. We'd love to do it in a physical form next year. Hopefully, the ecosystem can support it. We'd love to have performances. We'd love to have jugalbandis. We'd love to have fusion coming in every form through independent musicians. India has great talent. It's unending talent all over the country. And so many musicians are not getting a chance. And I hope through the Independent Music Fest that we've created through radioandmusic.com, we can give them that platform, help each other notice each other and work together. I've spoken a little too much. Thank you all for listening. Please stay on. There are more interesting people with more interesting thoughts following me. So please stay tuned in and have a great Independent Music Fest. And thank you, Namrata and Mishal and team, whoever's worked on getting the speakers together, for putting this together for me. It was my dream at one stage, and you all made it a realization. Thanks to a lot of the advisory board members who advised us on what we should be doing. And we look forward to continuing with this going forward. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable insights. And moving on, well, now I would like to introduce you to our chief guest, Miss Kala Ramnath. Well, she's called a singing violin, and she stands among the world's finest, most inspirational instrumentalists. Her playing has been featured on the Grammy-nominated Miles from India project, and compositions of her favorite appeared on the Grammy-winning album. Well, she's also a UK-based Songlines magazine. She was being called, singing violin, and as one of the world's 50 most best instrumentalists, and selected album Kala as one of its best 50 songs. So over to you, Miss Kala Ramnath.
I'm Kala Ramnath, an Indian classical violinist. At the very outset, I wish to thank all at radioandmusic.com for giving me this opportunity as the chief guest to the Indian Music Fest. I'm here to give a glimpse about my journey, try and inspire the aspiring youngsters wishing to take up music who have gathered here to watch Indian Music Fest 2022. It's nice to see such an initiative where musicians and industry leaders have gathered to share their knowledge. As far as I'm concerned, I come from a family steeped in music for generations. In fact, I am the 7th generation in my family to take up learning music, and learning music was a no-brainer. What is very important was my decision to take it up as a career. First, for all the aspiring youngsters, I would like to start by saying that learn music because you love the art. Do not look at what it is going to give you first, like you perform, how many performances you will get, and when you will start performing, how much you learn. That should not be the goal when you start to learn this art. So you have to completely surrender yourself, and that's when music comes to you. So music by itself is very demanding, and I would say it's as demanding or even more demanding than becoming an engineer, doctor, lawyer, or any other profession. It takes about 15 to 20 years to be technically proficient in the subject, and then years of concert experience to get to the next level. And if it's classical music, which I pursue, then it's about 30 years to become good at it. So the point of mentioning all this is not to discourage you, but to tell you that you need patience, hard work, perseverance, discipline, dedication, and lastly, humility. I first learned under my grandfather from the age of 2, and then when I turned a teenager, I started learning from my aunt, the very famous Dr. Srimati N. Rajan, for a brief period. Then I started training under the Mewati maestro Pandit Jasraj. The reason I went to train under him was some advice which I got from the legend of Tabla Ustad Zakir Hussain when he came to listen to me in my teens. Since I was learning from my aunt, I tried to be a total replica of her in music. That is when, after hearing me, Zakir Bhai commented, who would want to listen to an imitation when the original is there to hear? That set me thinking as to what I could do to be an original. And thinking led me to realize that my instrument is one which is closest to the human voice and it can do much more. So I decided to tap the potential of this instrument first. Therefore, I started learning under Pandit Jasraj, trying to reproduce vocal music on the violin, which had not been done very well, but many attempts had been made before me. There was a time when for a period of 6 months, I would sleep probably about 4 hours a day and devote the rest of my time to developing and creating the right technique to make my instrument sound like the voice. The reason for mentioning this incident is to let you all know how important it is to be an original in whatever you do. Zakir Bhai also taught me to think out of the box. If he hadn't said that statement, made that statement, I probably wouldn't have thought as to what I could do to be unique in what I do. Not only that, he taught me to be a thinking musician. Another important point is, to be a thinking musician, you have to master the idiom well, which I learned from my guru. This is what helps you to become a thinking musician. And there will be never a time when you will feel like, oh, I'm saturated with no ideas, it's all dried up in my mind. That will never happen if you have mastered the idiom well. This is the reason that I've been able to make music with musicians from varied genres like Western classical orchestras, jazz musicians, flamenco musicians, African music, and even rock music. In fact, my first introduction to collaborations with other genres was with Ray Manzarek from The Doors in 1995. 1996. That was the first time I played with somebody, and I never knew who Ray Manzarek was. And so, because I used to practice with him, I would go to his house, and when the concert happened, I was like, I was at the auditorium, and then he had this entourage following him, and that's when I realized, oh my God, he's so big. And something funny, I called my brother and then I said, this man has an entourage behind him. His name is Ray Manzarek. And he said, what's wrong with you? Don't you know who he is? And yeah, that's when I came to know how big he was, how big the Doors were. And I've also worked in Hollywood movies, and that also was, I think I was able to do all that only because of my training in Indian classical music. I would say Indian classical music is the music is in between the notes and not on the notes like in other genres. So one needs to learn from a guru. It's a Gurumukhi Vidya, that which is passed on from teacher to disciple. So you hear and you reproduce it. And that is why in my guru used to say that your ears are your eyes, because you're seeing the music through your ears. And so that is where we have our microtones at play in Indian music. Anyway, lastly, I would like to say one has to learn to be humble, because one needs to realize that you're not bigger than the art. The amount of respect you show your instrument and the art will reward you that much more. Of course, today you have media, social media, everything to promote yourself. But all this will work only if you have patience, perseverance, to put in the hard work, discipline, dedication, surrender, and humility towards the art. This is the key to success. Remember, one may have humongous talent in oneself, but without hard work to hone and polish your talent, it's all a waste. So ultimately, it's the hard work that pays off. So if I have to compare a hard-working musician against a very talented musician, in the end it'll all like even out. So I think hard work is what will help even a talented musician. Everybody needs to work. It's just the amount of work that you have to put that will differ according to your grasp, your memory, your aptitude, everything. So that will differ from person to person, but it is hard work which pays off. And to last long in the industry, half-baked knowledge can never help, which is why I said you have to master the art, the idiom that you want to perform. And every concert is a life experience. You face many situations, different sets of people, audiences, accompanists, fellow musicians, and some incidents truly make a mark in your mind, like this Ray Manzarek incident. And then when I played in the Hollywood movie, the challenge of having to listen to chords and then translating them in your mind to match the different ragas in my system, and within a span of a fraction of a second, to keep changing that as the chords progressed, as they changed. That was something very memorable for me. And of course, many concerts in all the beautiful venues that I've played in, like Carnegie Hall. I will be performing at Royal Albert Hall now again in July and again in September. Then my music which I wrote for the concertos that I wrote, the most recent one was on climate, which had a world premiere with the Seattle Symphony. So these are things which are very memorable to me. And I don't know if you all know that our classical music is the most ancient form of music in the world, and it has survived through time without any proper documentation. This art has survived just through passing on from generation to generation. Finding that there is no standardized structure, I have taken it upon myself to document everything that is available today through a website, indianclassicalmusic.com. Out of 4,840 rags which were available, today maybe 100 are in circulation, and people may know about 300, 400 or a max 500 rags. So we are losing everything. So I have decided that whatever I know and whatever other musicians know, I shall try to collate them and put them as videos, because as I said, our music has to be heard and learned, heard and reproduced. So if it is in written form, that's not going to help. So I've made it into videos, and so you will find everything there about the history of rags, their origin, their development, the different rags and their structure, everything. And I'm now going to put stuff about Tal. So I just started it last year. It was inaugurated by Ustad Zakir Hussain, and I'm slowly adding stuff there. So please do go check the website and let me know through your comments as to how I can improve it further. I would like to thank once again everyone at radioandmusic.com for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to share my experiences and feelings and learnings with all of you. Thank you once again. Namaskar.
Namrata, you're on mute.
Well, thank you, Miss Kala, for sharing interesting snippets about your life. And times have changed, and the current scenario has proven to be a boon for independent artists in India, and we all know that. Well, people are now more willing to listen to experimental music from unknown artists. Well, in a country well dominated by Bollywood music, the sudden emergence of independent artists who have been remarkably impressive. Well, in this panel, we have experts from the field of Hindustani classical and pop music who will share expertise on the current trends with respect to these genres. How did they survive in this pandemic? And they'll also discuss the future. I would like to call our first panelist, Mr. Praveen God Gandhi. He's an award-winning flute artist. Then we have Daval Kotari. He's a singer and music business entrepreneur. Then we have Mr. Prathap from Swarag Band. He's the founder and team coach at Swarag Band. To moderate this wonderful session, we have Mr. Ashish Rego. He's a music composer and sound designer. Over to you, Mr. Ashish. Please take it ahead.
Thank you so much, Namrata. And that was really an inspiring introduction from Kalaji. Thank you so much, Kalaji. And we have an illustrious panel today with us. Just to give you a brief introduction about each of them so that we can do justice. Our first panelist today is Praveen God Gandhi, a child prodigy and award-winning flute artist who comes from a rich heritage of 3 generations of music. He studied music under renowned gurus Pandit Venkatesh God Gandhi and Vidwan Anuranant Krishna Sharma. Bachelor of Engineering in Electrical and Electronic Engineering with distinction, he is the first Indian to represent Basuri at the World Flute Festival in Argentina. He has performed with eminent musicians such as Ustad Zakir Hussain and Pandit Balmurli Krishna, and a national award winner for films Beru and Vimukti, and is also the brand ambassador for AKG microphones. Welcome, Praveen. Glad to have you here today.
Thank you, Ashish ji.
Our next panelist is Daval Kotari, singer and music business entrepreneur. A young entrepreneur and singer from Indore who started his own music foundation to uplift Indian music, research and development in music, free music workshops and concerts of young talent and music learners in India. As a singer and musician, he is currently signed as an official artist by Berkeley's official record label in association with United Masters and has his music on more than 100 streaming platforms across the world. He is currently working on projects collaborating on various forms of music and bringing it to music lovers through his YouTube channel, which has more than 4 million viewership base. Currently doing his masters and is running his successful operational project of the Indo Flamenco Fusion Concert Series in Spain and other parts of Europe. Welcome, Daval. Great to have you here.
Thank you, sir.
Next panelist is Prathap from the band Swarag. Prathap Singh is the founder and team coach for Swarag Band. And it's been a long journey from being a designer, developer, travel magazine, event organizer, and many more. And his first love is music and he's passionate about it. He's put lots of energy into developing and building Swarag. His single interest is to revive traditional Indian music and create fusion with Western beats. And as folk music was disappearing from the culture, so to regain the taste of folk music, he got Swarag to take a foot forward. Welcome, Prathap. Just to give you a bit background of myself, I've been in music for the last 40 years. And I started off by playing in Western classical orchestras as a violinist. I then went on to form the band Vedic Chant, which was a folk fusion band. And we performed a lot of Vedic mantras along with rock music. And that was way back, I think over 25 years back. And that time, the industry was not as open as it is today. So we were a bit of mavericks then. But it was great fun. And then I realized that need to keep the home fires burning because, as you know, the very important aspect, which is money. And as Anil also said earlier, there are very few options. At least 25 years back, there were very few options. So at that point in time, I got into composition of music for television serials. There was a budding industry at that point in time. Now it's a booming industry. So lucky to get on the bus at the time when the bus was just starting. And I've got probably one of the largest libraries of music in India and probably the world. I've done over 22,000 episodes of TV music and over 130 TV shows. Some of the longest running shows on Hindi television like Balikavati. So great to be here today. And just a brief insight about independent music. Like there was a time in the past when it's been only Bollywood actually. And in India especially, there is a trend to regard everything that is not Bollywood as independent music. Because Bollywood used to be such a big tree that everything in the shade used to get really dwarfed. But I have some figures here which are of 2021. And this is the leading genres of music which are streamed in India, in which contemporary Bollywood is 19%. Yeah, coming of age Bollywood is 13%. Together, that makes around 32% of music streamed in India as Bollywood. The rest is regional music, and there's a very significant part which is here, others, which is 17%. So what I'm gauging is that 17% is independent music. So from being practically nowhere to where it is today, independent music is gaining grounds rapidly. So what I'd like to ask you all first, what do you feel qualifies as independent music and how has your journey been in independent music so far? What are the challenges that you faced and how did you overcome those challenges? Praveen, what would you like to say on that?
Yeah, my journey has been a mix of tradition as well as contemporary music. So I have worked just like you. I've been doing a lot of jingles for television, and I've done background scores for movies. I've co-produced a couple of art movies. So my focus has always been to reach out to the people through my music. because I've been trained in Hindustani classical music, I use that knowledge to package my music so that even the ragas, are they reach out to the masses. And the fusion band Krishna that I had started in 1998, even today we perform a lot all over India and abroad. And the USP of that fusion band is classical raga. So all my compositions are based completely and truly to Indian classical ragas. And so that way I've been able to, somehow be a competitor as far as here local film music is concerned, as far as Bollywood or Sandalwood. So to stand uh, up to them, because most of the college fests have these Bollywood nights or mostly orchestras. But to have these important fests also feature my music, I think that was one achievement for the next generation who are following this similar genre of music. So this fusion based on ragas is something that really helped me in all my work, whether it is composing for films, for composing for my TV things, whatever it is. So that solid base of classical music and the ragas has helped me even, to collaborate with musicians, Carnatic musicians like Pandit Vidwan Kadri Gopalnath ji, or several other legendary Carnatic musicians. So this fine balance between different genres, trying to keep the traditional values intact, was quite challenging, but something that I really, really enjoy. And as far as reaching out to the masses is concerned, during the pandemic, and I tried to perform a series of ragas. Like Kalaji just mentioned that there were so many ragas and so many of them are getting lost. So I tried my bit to safeguard these ragas. I started a series called Ragatainment, Raga with Entertainment, and I performed 101 ragas every week for 50 weeks. So 2 ragas every week, and that was there on Instagram, on my YouTube channel. And my idea always has been for the last 25 years is to make people aware of the beauty of these ragas, because I always talk to my audiences in during my fusion concerts. I say, you listen to a song, a Bollywood song, and you just get mesmerized by the composition or by whatever feel that it gives. But if you just go take a step back and just realize the notes which are loosely based on some or the other raga, and if you're allowed to listen to the same combination of notes for say 30 minutes or 45 minutes, the happiness that you might derive is multiplied by so many times. So and that has worked, at least in places, remote places and rural places in Karnataka, wherever I have performed. The next time when I go to perform there, they don't ask me to play the songs, they ask me to play the rag. So I think that's been my journey so far. And as I said, I've been enjoying this journey of creating music using my the traditional art form. Right now I'm sitting in the studio. So before joining the session also, I was thinking about new compositions and stuff like that. I have a school here where I'm training a lot of students who are again now venturing out as professional flutists. And social media has really helped this generation in a way that they can reach out to their audiences much easier, unlike for us. But I think it's a wonderful point to be in the journey, that this is the time when it's much easier to reach out to the artist, and it's much easier for the artists also to reach out to their audience. But the only problem is the monetization part, which needs to be reworked, because as classical musician and a classical concert performer, I feel that the next generation of organizers have not yet turned up, they have not arrived yet. we are still looking at people who are in their 60s and 70s who had started their organization way back, and now they are struggling to manage these concerts in a big professional way. So we are looking as a musician, I'm really looking forward to these youngsters who can come together and show some aptitude, and show some interest in promoting this classical traditional forms, because all other forms do get their due quite easily, not as it's quite difficult for a classical musician. That's what I have to say.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Praveen. Daval, would you like to enlighten us with some of your insights?
So independent music, in a way, how it correlates with Bollywood, right, in the overall industry.
Yes.
That was your question.
Yes, and your journey actually as an independent musician.
Okay.
What were some of the challenges you faced as an independent musician?
So I'll just brief you about my journey. I come from a business family where there's no relation with any sort of music, and there I started taking training in Indian classical music from Pandit Jasrajji's family, Mewati Gharana. I took training in Indian classical vocals and all, and then I realized that I still have that business knack in me, and I wanted to do something which is into music business, and I realized that music is everywhere, like especially Indian music, which is without a proper like they don't have theory as you compare it with West. So it's proper Sina Basina Talim Guru Shishya Parampara. So I thought like there is a big platform for music education. I formed a non-profit organization when I was 18 years old, and I thought like via that organization I can also learn something. I can bring artists there, and young musicians for like me, they can attend that workshop for the free. We can do tie up with sponsors and all that. And I used to do all these things when I was in my college days. And then I realized that to pursue my career in music also. So I was performing, and then I got an opportunity in Berkeley College of Music in Valencia, Spain. I got a scholarship also, and I did my master's in music business. There I got an opportunity to work with like, because if you learn from a big institution, you get to meet people, experienced people. And there I worked in projects with Yuvit. She's publicist of Beyonce, and Scooter Brown, and the many Patrice Russian and all these artists. They used to come, used to give guest lectures, and I realized that I don't want to stay in this bubble. I want to do something which is my own music, which is about my roots. And that's a very big thing that I realized, that independent music for me is to connect with my roots, which is basically coming from that Gujarati background, Gujarati music background. I used to listen Gujarati folk song from my dadi, nani. So I started working on those folk music as well as the classical compositions, and I did a collaboration with local flamenco artists there in Spain. So I made that as a project, and I invented this Indo flamenco fusion concert, which happened in Valencia and other parts in Spain. And after lockdown, I've been not able to go back to Spain, but now everything is opened up, so I'll continue that again. But that was the journey in Europe. And then when I came back to Bombay, I joined Spotify. So Spotify recently launched in India at that time, and I was initially the part of the artist and label partnerships team. I was heading indie music in Spotify. I was in touch with more than 4,000 indie musicians in India. So that was a different experience for me in educating artists to how to promote their music, what they should do with Spotify as well as other streaming platforms. And like, very small thing as an independent artist, what is important in terms of looking your data and everything. And then I realized that because of COVID, musicians got a lot of time, especially in understanding that streaming is a big part in their career. Of course, like how Praveen ji was telling that in the lockdown, he like realized that monetization is a big problem. So many musicians, especially classical musicians, also realized that independent music is growing, firstly in the COVID time, because Bollywood was not releasing that much of content. And they started looking up to streaming. What are the numbers? What are the count? What are the revenue coming out of from the streaming? And I think from that time, from that COVID time, independent music has grown in a big way because of the awareness that artist has got, like after like they took out time in checking the music and data. So but anyways, Bollywood is big, and musicians are hired guns in Bollywood. They are being paid for the work they do, especially related to rights and copyrights. There is always an issue until and unless artist is not clear from the from his end, because
I
now
like your use of the word hired guns. It's a very interesting interpretation.
yeah, they are sort of hired guns, like they are being paid off whatever work they do. And I think there's so many stories about this. I think you are such an experienced like musician in this field. You must be knowing so many kisses and kahanis. But I think, like, as an independent artist, like I feel like the artists who are of my age in 24, 25 or younger than me also, they are so much aware about what they are doing. They are so much aware that they should, even though IPRS website is very slow, they go there and they register themselves, because that is very important for them. They know performing rights, they know licensing, they know publishing, they're well aware about music education. So now independent music is also growing in terms of education wise. Artists are more aware of what they are doing, and they know what Bollywood is doing. So I feel opportunities are there in both the things. Bollywood is also giving opportunities. Independent music is also giving a lot of opportunities. As an artist, I should be aware of what I'm doing. That's what I believe.
Great. Thank you so much, Daval, for very extensive views on the subject. We'll come back to you on some of those again. And now we come to Prathap. Prathap, you've been a kind of flag bearer for folk fusion music. What would you like to say on this? I think you're muted, Prathap.
Exactly. When I started with my career in IT, actually, my as such background is from IT. और जब मैंने वहाँ से स्टार्ट किया था, मुझे नहीं पता था कि मैं म्यूजिक साइड में कब डाइवर्ट हो जाऊँगा. बट एज सच लाइव शोज देखते देखते जब मेरे फ्रेंड सर्कल्स में हमारी टीम के कुछ पर्सन्स आए, और जब मुझे आइडिया लगा कि फैमिली बैकग्राउंड अगर म्यूज़िक है, उनका आईटी से कोई कनेक्शन नहीं है, उनको ये नहीं पता है कि उनको म्यूज़िक को कैसे प्रमोट करना है. जो इंडिविजुअली को प्रमोट कर रहे हैं और वो उस लेवल तक नहीं है जहाँ तक उनको वर्क करना चाहिए. एक्चुअली उनको जितनी नॉलेज है उससे फार बेटर वो कर सकते हैं. इवन जो नेटवर्किंग होनी चाहिए वो नहीं है. इंडियन क्लासिकल म्यूज़िक जो हमारी टीम परफॉर्म कर रही थी किसी टाइम के ऊपर, वो एक ऑडिटोरियम के अंदर ही स्टार्ट होता और वहीं पे डी एंड होके रह जाता. सो ऑडिटोरियम के अंदर ऑडियंस को बुलाना वो भी एक बहुत बड़ा टास्क होता था. इवन आपकी कुछ अप्रोच अच्छी है तो आप उस ऑडिटोरियम तक भी पहुंच सकते हो, अदरवाइज वो आर्टिस्ट वहां तक भी नहीं आ सकता था, वेदर उनकी कितनी अच्छी नॉलेज हो. आज हम ऐसा हम जयपुर से बिलोंग करते हैं. जयपुर में बहुत अच्छे आर्टिस्ट हैं, बहुत अच्छे आर्टिस्ट बॉलीवुड इंडस्ट्री को मिले भी हैं जयपुर से. बट देखा जाए तो उनकी जो नॉलेज है वो आज की डेट में भी एक फिक्स पैटर्न पे लिमिट हो चुकी है. मैंने देखा जो जनरेशन पास ऑन हो रहा है वो भी एक लिमिटेड दायरे में ही हो रहा है. उनके फोर फादर्स को जो नॉलेज थी, उनको 4 पॉइंट्स आते थे तो बच्चों तक 3 पहुंचा और उनके बच्चों तक 2 ही पहुंचा. और बच्चे जो आज की डेट में परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं वो देख रहे हैं मार्केट में एक ही चल रहा है, तो उनको 4 सीखने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं. वो सिर्फ उस एक से ही अपना शोज करके आते हैं प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ में कि हाँ दे आर अर्निंग गुड, और उनके पास इनफ शोज आ गए. उनको पता है कि मार्केट में क्या रनिंग में है, बस वो टास्क करना है और अपना अर्निंग करना है. दैट्स इट, मैटर खत्म. सर ने प्रवीण जी से का जो मैंने सुना, उन्होंने 100 राग्स के ऊपर वर्क किया और डेली उन्होंने ये कॉन्सेप्ट देखा. ये बहुत ही अच्छा टास्क था कि इसी फील्ड में अगर इंडियन क्लासिकल आर्टिस्ट अपना कुछ पार्ट लेकर आए और मार्केट में इंट्रोड्यूस कराएं. ऐसा नहीं है कि राग किसी को समझ में आते हैं या नहीं आते हैं या कुछ बोर हो जाते हैं. मैंने जब स्टार्ट किया था तो यही चैलेंज पार्ट आया था कि आप इंडियन क्लासिकल वर्क करना तो चाहते हैं, बट उनको सुनना कौन चाहता है, और सुनने के लिए आपको वही उस्ताद चाहिए जो उसको समझते हैं. अदरवाइज वो सेंसलेस है कि आपने क्या परफॉर्म किया और क्या सुनाया और क्या नहीं चला, कोई नहीं जानता उस चीज़ को. यहाँ पे पॉइंट हमारी लाइफ में यह है कि अगर हम जो परफॉर्म करना चाहें, या तो टोटली बॉलीवुड परफॉर्म कर लें या इंडियन क्लासिकल परफॉर्म करना है. अब उस दोनों के बीच में एक ब्रिज बनाने का फॉर्मेट जो आज की डेट में है वो फ्यूजन ही है. इंडियन क्लासिकल इंस्ट्रूमेंट सितार हुआ, उसको सैक्सोफोन के साथ हमारी टीम जो मर्ज करती है, हमने बॉलीवुड सॉन्ग्स को कैसे फ्यूजन पैटर्न में हमारे वे में यूज़ किया, हमने इंडियन राजस्थानी फोक उसको किस वे में यूज़ किया, उसको ट्रेडिशन कैसे चेंज होना चाहिए, वो हमने बहुत कोशिश की इस चीज़ के ऊपर। हमने मार्केट में देखा कि लोगों को चाहे फोक कितना ही अच्छा हो, लेकिन वो बस कुछ सिस्टमेटिक वे में हो, वो ही ऑडियंस को, मास ऑडियंस को पसंद आता है। हर एक सॉन्ग का, हर एक जॉनर का, हर एक फॉर्मेट का एक लिमिटेड ऑडियंस क्राइटेरिया है। आर्टिस्ट उससे अर्न कर सकता है या नहीं कर सकता, ये बहुत बड़ा मैटर आ जाता है। तो हमने हमारी टीम के साथ जो एक्सपेरिमेंटल मोड में जो वर्क स्टार्ट किया था, नो डाउट आज थोड़ा सा टाइम लगा हमको, लेकिन हमारा टास्क ऑडियंस को पसंद आया। और उसी में हमने देखा कि मार्केट में जो मास ऑडियंस, ये कोविड का टाइम था, कोविड का टाइम इतना अच्छा था कि अब देखिए, यार गलत बात तो हो ही जाएगी कि वैसे हेल्थ वाइज कॉन्शियस है कि अगर अपन देखा जाए तो बहुत इफेक्ट पड़ा है इंडस्ट्री को, लेकिन देखा जाए कि जिनको यूज़ में लेना था उस समय को, उस समय एक तरह से रुक सा गया था। उस रुके हुए समय को अगर किसी ने यूज़ में लिया, यूटिलाइज कर लिया, वो आज की डेट में फार बेटर है रादर देन 2 years। अगर पहले की बात की जाए तो हर एक पर्सन की ज़िंदगी में जिसने यूज़ किया है उस समय को, नहीं किया वो वहीं की वहीं रुका हुआ था और वहीं से वापस अगेन स्टार्ट किया। तो हमारी टीम ने जो इम्प्रूवमेंट किया, इवन आईटी को लेते हुए, मेरे को नहीं पता कि कितने आईटी इंडस्ट्री से बिलोंग करते थे कि उन्होंने जूम टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज़ करना सीखा, किसी और टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज़ करना सीखा, अपनी सोशल मीडिया को कितना सीखा, वो सब 2 साल में बहुत ज़्यादा इम्प्रूवमेंट हुआ, इन्फ्लुएंसेस कितने बढ़ गए। तो इंडियन क्लासिकल म्यूज़िक को अगर थोड़ा सा आगे लेके आना है तो फ्यूजन आज की डेट में वो दायरा है कि हम उसको थोड़ा सा चेंज कर सकते हैं, उसी के थ्रू जितने ज़्यादा ऑडियंस ग्रैब कर सकते हैं वही कर सकते हैं।
फोक म्यूजिक बॉलीवुड में काफी यूज हुआ है और काफी गाने प्रभावित हुए इससे। आप फोक फ्यूजन कर रहे हैं, तो आप क्या अलग कर रहे हैं जो आपको लग रहा है जो बॉलीवुड ऑलरेडी नहीं कर चुका? आप क्या अलग कर रहे हैं एज एन इंडिपेंडेंट म्यूजिशियन?
देखिए, हमारे म्यूजिक में आपको जो फ्लेवर मिलेगा वो मिलेगा, कोई सा भी आप फोक ट्रैक लीजिए, और इवन रियल फॉर्मेट तो एक्चुअली ये होता है कि ऑडियंस आज भी एक्चुअल जो इंस्ट्रूमेंट होता है ना उसका टेस्ट नहीं भूलिए। आप इसको देखिए इस चीज़ से देखिए कि अगर कहीं आप इलेक्ट्रिक इंस्ट्रूमेंट प्ले कर रहे हैं और वहीं आप एक्चुअल इंस्ट्रूमेंट गाइए, आप सब म्यूजिक सिस्टम हटा दीजिए, आप केवल एक माहौल बनाइए, सिर्फ हारमोनियम, तबला और वो लेके बैठिए, जो माहौल वो बनता है ना सर, वो माहौल इलेक्ट्रिक इंस्ट्रूमेंट से साथ में कभी कितना ही बड़ा साउंड सिस्टम लगा दीजिए वो नहीं बन सकता। एक्चुअल इंस्ट्रूमेंट से जो वेव्स निकलती है बॉडी के अंदर, जो एंटर करती है इंस्ट्रूमेंट से निकली हुई वेव्स एक्चुअल, वो आपको अलग ही माहौल बना देगी। चाहे आप स्पिरिचुअली वे में उस चीज़ को लीजिए या एक्चुअल में लीजिए, जो आप कहते हैं गूज बॉम्ब्स हो गए हैं या आपकी आंखों से आंसू आ गए हैं, आप जो भाव समझ रहे हैं, वो एक्चुअल इंस्ट्रूमेंट और जो समय का और जो राग का खेल होता है वो अलग ही होता है। और जो इन चीज़ों को समझा हुआ होता है, आज की डेट में आप बहुत सारे म्यूजिक फेस्टिवल्स देखेंगे वहाँ पे प्रेफरेंस दी जाती है कि छोटे छोटे ग्रुप बनाए जाते हैं और जितना साउंड कम हो उतना कम लगा के ऑडियंस को एक्चुअल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स का साउंड देने का वो किया जाता है।
तो एक रॉ प्योर म्यूजिक जो होता है फोक में, वो आप लाने की कोशिश करेंगे?
राइट राइट सर, और वो कि जो एक एक्चुअल टेस्ट के साथ में आ जाए तो वो ऑडियंस को एक अलग ही पावर
अनुभव होता है। बहुत बढ़िया, थैंक यू सो मच। एंड कोविड जो है, आई मीन वी ऑल बीन थ्रू कोविड, और कोविड के समय काफी लोगों को परेशानी भी हुई और काफी लोगों ने मौके का फायदा उठा के बहुत पैसा कमाया। सो I would like to ask this question to you all. So, what did you do during the COVID period that was different from what you normally did? And how did you all pass through this? For me as a person, I mean, I was always doing music what other people wanted me to do, which is called commission music. I discovered myself during COVID. In fact, COVID ke time, I mean, I started doing songs which I started writing songs myself. I started directing videos myself, and we did a video called Vande Matram, which had over 100 composers and singers from all over India, and that did phenomenally well. We won loads of awards. We did a song called Jago Zara, which had over 150 female musicians from all over the world, and that also won around 200 international awards. So as far as I'm concerned, if COVID didn't happen, I would never have even discovered this aspect of myself. So COVID really inspired, and I now have a new purpose in life actually. Now I've started a channel called Indemus, which is on YouTube for only independent musicians, and we are only promoting independent music on that. So for me, COVID was a period of discovery of my independence as a musician. So how did you all go through the COVID period, and what did you gain from it? Praveen, what would you like to say?
Very similar to your experience, Ashish. I was fortunate to discover a different talent of mine, of which was writing. I finished a novel in Kannada, and it's a fiction novel. It's a rarity that a classical musician writes a fiction novel based on music, though. So I had never dreamt that I could write, first of all. So I wrote it in English first, and then I translated it into Kannada, and it's already released, and it's getting good reviews. And now I'm all reworking on the English version of the novel, which will be out soon. इसके अलावा, I did a lot of collaborations during COVID. One of these album, a song, a composition, Unmada, wherein I collaborated with the fantastic Rajesh Vaidya on Veena, and Gino Banks on drums, and Umesh on the keyboard. So we released this single, and it incidentally won the Clef Music Best Single award. And then I also did one more very interesting classical piece. But I'm always a fan of all the wind instruments. So I also invented a couple of new flutes for myself. One is the U-shaped bansuri, which I use to reach the lower notes, which was impossible because the length would have been unmanageable, and without the keys I used the technique of alto flute, and then created a bamboo flute which is in U shape. So that was one creation that I did, and did a single out of it. And then I collaborated with the star tabla player Ojas Hadia, and I came out with a composition which is in Khand Rupak Tal. Tish Rupak is something that everybody is nowadays aware of because of the composition that Pandit Ravi Shankar ji had done, and Ustad Shahid Parvez ji regularly performs on it. And I also keep performing Tish Rupak. But then I went ahead and then created this Khand Rupak, which was also well appreciated. And then another invention that I did was illuminated flute, LED flute, and which the interesting part was it was amplified. So I inserted a mic into the flute, and so just like electric sitar, electric violin, this is an electric flute. So it's well amplified, and you don't need an external mic, and plus it glows. And the next project now I'm thinking of is, these are all things that happened because of the time that I had during that time. I could think of so many things. And then what I said earlier, the ragatainment, the 101 ragas, many maestros like Tarun Bhattacharya, Pandit Tejendra Narayan Mujumdar, Ustad Tawfiq Qureshi, they were all they came online to appreciate the work that I had done, because 100 ragas, even if you ask someone to list offhand, it's very difficult. So there's so many rag prakars, Kannada prakars, Malhar prakars, and Sarang prakars, which are rarely sung. And because most of the classical concerts happen only in the evening, you rarely get to listen or perform these morning and afternoon melodies. So that's how I really enjoyed the time. Of course, only in the second wave, when I was down with COVID for a couple of weeks. Otherwise, I really spent my time thinking about music, and thinking about newer ways to reach out to my audience. And that novel, also being on music and this Prahar system, was another way of extending my thought process, and also to reach out to the general audience per se. So all these collaborations, all these inventions might would not have been possible if it was not for the COVID. So Even in my preface of my book, I've said that it's ironic that I have to thank COVID, that I could sit and write in a place which um, you know. I take this opportunity to, I request all of you to watch out for this new novel that I'm releasing, The Singing Clock, which is a fiction but based on ragas.
Absolutely. And many congratulations. And it's truly inspiration what you've done in the period of COVID. I mean, inventing new instruments and writing a book, becoming an accredited author. Amazing. Many congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. And Daval, we come to you. How has your COVID period been? And what did you discover about yourself? And how did you gain from this period?
First of all, I'm really inspired by Praveen ji's story, and like, so fortunate that I'm here in this panel with all you guys. um, Coming back to me, my COVID journey was about working on my music content. So in that COVID period, I worked on my data and my songs. Like, I created 12 songs, and it was a lot of time taking process. Like, I was discovering my sound. Also, I wanted to connect with my roots, my music that I've been learning since I was kid. So that discovery of sound is a very difficult process, and I know that many musicians struggle to find the right sound. So that was a big process. That was a good time for me to process my music, old music. Secondly, I saw there were a lot many avenues as in music business entrepreneur. When I was working in Spotify, I saw there were so many big avenues coming in for independent musicians during COVID, especially with Spotify. They started with a lot of independent artist campaigns such as Radar, where, like, no independent artists from all over the world in 150 countries, they used to bring new emerging artists and they used to highlight them on the platform. Even Apple Music and all there were various labels who were also trying different things and doing videos with independent music or social media content. So many avenues opened up, many opportunities came up for independent musicians. Also, I saw many artists releasing EPs, especially Divine, and there's so many artists I can name. Like, they came up with EPs, especially Punjabi artists also, and that created a big sort of a tap into regional independent music. All the companies, labels, they realized that there's big potential in regional music, and they started looking for artists in Punjabi, in Gujarati. And then I realized that I've been putting out Gujarati content a lot, and there are very few young musicians like me who are working on original Gujarati content. And then I found that this is my niche. There are lesser fishes in this ocean as compared to Bollywood or as compared to independent in general. So I started putting out a lot of Gujarati original content, and which was working for me actually. And then especially in music education side, I saw a lot of online workshops and concerts happening. People were going and applying for a lot of music workshops. I especially noticed this Urban Pro Tutors that came up as an app, where people, like thousands of people, started giving teaching classes there, like especially all the teachers, musicians who were like not able to find job during COVID. They found this app as well as many others, and online concerts and workshops happening that gave a lot of opportunities to musicians in general, especially independent musicians during the COVID.
That's great. That's great. And just to give you a heads up, I mean, you mentioned regional music that has come up. I mean, the figures for 2021 are very inspiring. I mean, Tamil music has 7% of the share of streaming. Punjabi is 6%, Telugu is 6%, Malayalam is 3%, and Kannada has 2%. Also, classical and traditional music has 4% of the entire pie. So those are significant improvements vis-a-vis coming out of the shadow of Bollywood. So I think the COVID period has really been a boom for regional music also as much as independent music. So that's really, I think there are good times to come there. Thank you, Dhaval. और प्रताप, आपका अनुभव कैसा रहा ये कोविड के दौर में? और आपने क्या क्या किया उस दौर में और कैसा आपका पूरा सफर रहा?
देखिए सर, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल तो सबसे बड़ी बात तो ये है कि कोविड के दौर में हमारी टीम के सभी फैमिलीज एकदम सेफ थी। कोई मिस हैपनिंग जैसा कोई मैटर नहीं आया। ये सबसे पहला पॉइंट था हमारी सबकी ज़िंदगी में, जो अच्छे से निकल गया। अब उसके बाद इसका दौर, स्टार्टिंग की बात कही जाए तो स्टार्टिंग में 2 से 3 महीने यानी वो समझ में नहीं आया प्रैक्टिकल सी बात थी कि क्या होगा और क्या नहीं होगा और हमको क्या करना चाहिए। वो एक तरह से रिलैक्स मोड था और डर का माहौल था। कुछ करें या नहीं करें वो सिचुएशन थी। थोड़ा सा समय निकला, उसके बाद समझ में आया कि बैठने से कुछ नहीं हुआ कि हमारी टीम ने सॉन्ग भी रेडी किया था, जा रे अरे कोरोना वायरस थारो नहीं थे कोई काम रहे। तो ये राजस्थानी फोक लैंग्वेज में ही था, राजस्थानी लैंग्वेज में ही था और बहुत ही अच्छा रहा ये वाला पार्ट और लोगों को बहुत पसंद भी आया ये सॉन्ग। और इसके अलावा फिर सबसे बड़ी बात जो हमारी लाइफ में आई वो आई थी टेक्नोलॉजी रिलेटेड अपग्रेडेशन इन द टीम। वो सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरत थी हमारी टीम। इंस्टाग्राम पे रील बनाने तक तो खुश थी, बट उससे ज़्यादा उनसे बात की जाए तो वो उन चीज़ों टेक्नोलॉजी अवेयर नहीं थी उन सब चीज़ों से। जूम के ऊपर बहुत सारे हमारे शूज़ हुए और इसके ऊपर इंस्टाग्राम के ऊपर शूज़ हुए। टेक्निकली कितना इन छोटे छोटे पॉइंट्स का फर्क पड़ता है। एक छोटी सी केबल कितना एफर्ट लगाती है एक प्रोग्राम को अच्छा करने के लिए, ये उस दौर में टीम को भी समझ में आया और हमको भी समझ में आया जब हम टेक्निकली वर्क करने लगे इन चीज़ों के ऊपर कि हाँ ये छोटी सी केबल है, इसको साउंड के करने के लिए, पास ऑन के लिए क्या ज़रूरत है। एक बेटर क्वालिटी केबल्स एंड एक लोकल केबल्स। उस टाइम ड्यूरेशन में ये बहुत ज़्यादा डिफरेंस समझ में आया कि अगर आप टेक्निकली परफॉर्म कर रहे हो ऑन स्टेज तो साउंड जीएस कितने मैटर करते हैं। एक्चुअली फोक आर्टिस्ट है, फोक आर्टिस्ट को इन चीज़ों का सेंस नहीं है। फोक आर्टिस्ट को तो जहाँ बिठा दी वहीं से अपनी कहानी शुरू कर देते हैं। तो एज एन फोक आर्टिस्ट हमारे साथ, हमारे ग्रुप के साथ यहाँ राजस्थान में जो एक छोटा सा ग्रुप बना हुआ है उसमें टेक्नोलॉजी वाइज अपग्रेडेशन देना ये हमारा बहुत बड़ा था। क्योंकि जिनको भी सपोर्ट चाहिए होता था वो हमको कॉल करते थे कि हाँ बेटी देखिए यार आपने थोड़ा सा अच्छा कर रखा होगा, अगर प्लीज़ थोड़ा सा हेल्प कीजिए। वो जो दौर था टेक्निकली देखा जाए तो बहुत हमारे यहाँ पे राजस्थानी फोक जो आर्टिस्ट हैं बहुत अपग्रेड हुए हैं, जिनको बिल्कुल भी आइडिया नहीं था कि टेक्नोलॉजी वाइज क्या क्या हो सकता है। आज भी देखा जाएगा उनका कोई टेक राइटर नहीं होता, वो सिर्फ जाते हैं परफॉर्म करते हैं, जिन्होंने सामने वालों ने जो दे दिया वो दे दिया और वो कर देते हैं। उनको नहीं पता चलता कि ये अच्छा है या खराब है, बस वो परफॉर्म कर देता है। ये जो टाइम था अच्छा खासा सीखे, बहुत कुछ नॉलेज बढ़ी, हमारी टीम की नॉलेज बढ़ी। मतलब कुछ नए कंपोजिशन जो काम होने चाहिए थे, नए कंपोजिशन पे वर्क किया। फिलहाल वो रिलीज़ नहीं हुए हैं, वो सब रिलीज़ होने के वीडियो शूट्स सभी कंप्लीट हुए हैं क्योंकि जैसे कोविड क्लोज हुआ यहाँ से मार्केट बहुत अच्छा ओपन हुआ, लाइव शोज बहुत मिले कंटिन्यूसली बैक टू बैक लाइव शोज करने के बाद अब वापस से थोड़ा सा टाइम मिला, वीडियो शूज स्टार्ट हुए हमारे। अब वो जैसे ही रिलीज़ होंगे उसके बाद थोड़ा सा आइडिया लगेगा। अराउंड 10 to 12 सॉन्ग्स हैं जो हम ऑरिजिनली रिलीज़ करने वाले हैं। वो भी मल्टीपल लैंग्वेजेस के हैं, जो कुछ पंजाबी है उसके अंदर, पंजाबी फोक बिलोंग करते हुए हैं, राजस्थानी फोक से भी हैं, हमने तमिल सॉन्ग्स लिए हैं, तेलुगु सॉन्ग्स भी लिए हैं। यानी हमने ही एक ही सॉन्ग से मल्टीपल वर्जन्स रेडी किए हैं, तो उन्हीं के ऊपर वीडियोज़ भी शूट्स कराए हैं। तो अब अपकमिंग आने वाले टाइम के अंदर ये सारे पार्ट भी रिलीज होंगे। कोविड का टाइम हमारा कुछ ऐसे ही निकला, बहुत कुछ अच्छा था, बहुत कुछ अप एंड डाउन था।
आपका चैनल मैंने देखा है काफी लोकप्रिय हुआ है, आपके गीत काफी पॉपुलैरिटी हुई है, तो इसका राज क्या है? मतलब कैसे, मतलब आपने कोई अलग तरीका अपनाया कि लोगों को म्यूजिक लेके जाने के लिए इस दौरान? कोई मार्केटिंग की, कोई प्रमोशंस की? कैसे आपने सोशल मीडिया वगैरह का कोई उपयोग किया है?
नहीं सर, इसके अंदर कहा जाए कि अभी तक हमने जितना वर्क किया है माउथ पब्लिसिटी बहुत है। मैं आपको वही चीज़ बता रहा था कि हमने हमारे जब स्टार्टिंग में किया, टीम का बहुत ज़्यादा मोटो रहता था कि हमको इलेक्ट्रिक इंस्ट्रूमेंट यूज़ करना चाहिए, लाइक ऑक्टोपैड और कीबोर्ड। ये तो यानी जैसे उनके रग में बसा हुआ है, ये तो उसमें लेना ही लेना है। और मैं सुनता था जब फ्रंट में एज एन ऑडियंस, तो मेरे को कीबोर्ड का जो एक्चुअली जो एक साउंड होता है वो मेरे को अच्छा नहीं लगता था। ये जो यूज़ करती थी टीम, तो नहीं है ऑथेंटिक साउंड नहीं आता, तो हमारा बहुत ज़्यादा डिस्प्यूट होता था टीम का। जैसे ही बात आती थी हमारी टीम के अंदर जो यूज़ किया जा रहा है, सुराग आज यूज़ करता है सितार, सैक्सोफोन यूज़ कर रहा है, अकॉस्टिक गिटार यूज़ कर रहा है, अकॉस्टिक ड्रम है, तबला प्लेयर है। अब जैसे ही कीबोर्ड या ऑक्टोपैड का साउंड आता वो एकदम ही साउंड दे देता और वो मेरे को पसंद नहीं आता था। अब ये बहुत बड़ा डिस्प्यूट का मैटर है। एज अ टाइम निकला, मैंने टीम को एक्सप्लेन किया, टीम को जगह जगह मैंने उनको दिखाया कि किस वजह से प्रॉब्लम्स आती है, किस वजह से नहीं आती। एक टाइम आया, टीम ने एग्री किया, हम ये इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स यूज़ नहीं करेंगे, हम प्योर अकॉस्टिक करेंगे। आज की डेट में अगर कोई सितार का पीस सुनता है किसी सॉन्ग के बीच में, उसको बहुत अच्छा लगता है। इवन हमारे साथ ये बात आती है कि एक सॉन्ग को इतनी बार रिपीट कराया जाता है कि केवल वहाँ पे अकॉस्टिक इंस्ट्रूमेंट का साउंड सुनने का जो एक वो होता है, उनको समझ में नहीं आता। एक्चुअली ऑडियंस को पता नहीं चल रहा कि उसको सॉन्ग क्यों अच्छा लग रहा है, लेकिन मैं मेरी नज़र से उस ऑडियंस को देखता हूँ और जब मैं हमारी टीम को देखता हूँ तो मुझे समझ में आ रहा है कि उसको अच्छा इसीलिए लगा है क्योंकि उसको जो ये सितार का पीस जो है वो बहुत अच्छा लगा, अकॉस्टिक तबला का जो साउंड आ रहा है वो बहुत अच्छा लगा। बीच में जो जुगलबंदी हुई है वो जुगलबंदी आज की डेट में मिस कर चुके हैं। जहाँ पे इलेक्ट्रिक बैंड्स आ रहे हैं जो कह जा रहे हैं, कह सकते हैं कि डीजे बेस बैंड आ रहे हैं या बहुत सारे ट्रैक के ऊपर वर्क कर रहे हैं, वहाँ तो सब कट टू कट होता है। ना किसी की फरमाइश पूरी होती है, ना ही किसी की इच्छा पूरी होती है। मेरी जो प्लेलिस्ट है, चाहे ऑडियंस कैसी हो, उनको समझ में आए या नहीं आए, मैं अपना वर्क करके निकल जाता हूँ। हमारा टास्क यही रहता है कि आप आए स्टेज के ऊपर, हमने परफॉर्म किया। टीम का हमारा ये रहता है कि जज कीजिए सामने ऑडियंस कैसी है, उनको क्या समझ में आ रहा है। हम राजस्थानी देते हैं तो राजस्थानी में हम इस चीज़ का दायरा रखते हैं कि लैंग्वेज एज इट इज़ वो हो जो सामने वालों को एक जनरलाइज समझ में आ जाए। सेम विद गुजराती लैंग्वेज। कुछ गुजराती जैसे अपन इस नवरात्रि के टाइम पे जो करते हैं, गरबा का जो पैटर्न्स रहता है, किसी को समझ में आए या नहीं आए लैंग्वेज, लेकिन वो कुछ पैटर्न्स ऐसे उनको समझ में आ जाता है कि हाँ भाई हमको कैसे पाँव घुमाने हैं। सेम विद राजस्थानी फोक के साथ है और सभी फोक के साथ में ये होता है। लेकिन पंजाबी फोक इस मामले में बहुत आगे निकल गया, इलेक्ट्रिकली या कमर्शलाइज बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया। राजस्थानी अभी तक नहीं होता है, क्योंकि राजस्थानी के साथ यही हो गया है प्रॉब्लम। राजस्थानी कल्चर में एक्चुअल में देखा जाए, राजस्थान में मल्टीपल लैंग्वेजेस चलती है जो राजस्थानी कहलाई जाती है। हम अभी तक राजस्थानी लैंग्वेज को कमर्शलाइज यूज़ नहीं कर पा रहे। आप देखेंगे घूमर घूमर को जिस हिसाब से बॉलीवुड में यूज़ किया गया, हम फोक में आज तक जो नॉर्मल पैटर्न है वही चला जा रहा है। हम उसको एकदम कमर्शियल क्या पा रहा है और नई टेक्नोलॉजी वाइज दैट्स वाई आज की डेट में कुछ प्रोडक्शन हाउसेस निकल गए हैं जयपुर के अंदर, राजस्थान के अंदर, जो बहुत अच्छी क्वालिटी के ऊपर करना शुरू कर दिया। हम भी वही कोशिश कर रहे हैं, उन्हीं के साथ हम भी जुड़े हैं। और कि जो नए राजस्थानी आ रहे हैं, एक्चुअली फोक को बोला होगा, हम प्योरली फोक इन द सेंस जो 60 साल पुराने जो सॉन्ग्स है उन्हीं को लिए जाओ, उन्हीं को कवर बनाए जाओ और बस सर्वाइवल के लिए लड़ते जाओ कि नहीं ठीक है कि हमको ये नया करना पड़ेगा, ये नया करना पड़ेगा। लेकिन नया एक्चुअली कुछ नहीं कर रहा है, बस सर्वाइव कर रहे हैं पुराने फोक को कवर बना के। तो वो छोड़ के और जब हम ओरिजिनली न्यू सॉन्ग्स के ऊपर आएंगे इन राजस्थानी लैंग्वेज, वो मार्केट चेंज होगा। राजस्थानी लैंग्वेज जो ऑडियंस है उनको समझ में आएगा कि नहीं हमारी लैंग्वेज के अंदर भी कुछ आता है, तब जाके मज़ा आएगा। हम उसी कॉन्सेप्ट में वर्क कर रहे थे और यही चीज़ है जो हमारे ऑडियंस को भी पसंद आई। लाइक स्टेज के ऊपर वो बहुत अच्छा लगा उनको कि जो अकॉस्टिक इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स का पार्ट है, अकॉस्टिक हमेशा सबको पसंद आता है। जैसे मैंने फर्स्ट टाइम पे भी कहा, जो रूह दिलती है, जो आपके दिल के अंदर जो साउंड एंटर करता है, वो राजस्थानी वो एक्चुअल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स है,
Acoustic instruments. Correct. Completely agree with you. Sound of acoustic instruments tugs at your soul. And when we go of tracing back the journey of Hindi film music right from the beginning, if you notice the early compositions that were there, they were all either classical based or folk based to an extent. आज भी जो सबसे ज्यादा पॉपुलर म्यूजिक होते हैं, I mean, वो भी काफी हद तक क्लासिकल बेस्ड और folk based. Yeah, but somehow, somewhere down the line, there's been a divide in the middle where Hindi film music has gone to be called Bollywood, and the others, the purists, are running on their own as independent musicians. Even classical music today is regarded as independent music. Then there was a third stream of music that came in, which is the influence from the West. Pop music, which came at that point in time, rock and roll from the time of Elvis, वो हिंदी फिल्मों में दिखाने लगे लोग, वो भी काफी हद तक लोकप्रिय हो गए। और वहां से एक अलग स्ट्रीम शुरू हुआ, पॉप म्यूजिक। And pop music actually means anything which is popular. But there was a point in history of Indian music, which was in the 90s. And that was, I feel, the true moment where independent music came out as an industry, where you had genuine labels like Magna Sound, Crescendo, and so many others which came out promoting independent pop artists. Like you had artists like Alisha Chennai came out with her hit Made in India. We had Bidu with Boom Boom, Shan's Thanna Dil. Like Shan initially was an independent artist. Sono Nigam at that point, he came out with so many albums like Divana, Indaler Mendi, and Somesh Mathur, Sunita Rao with her Parihume, Shweta Shetty with Divane, and Colonial Cousins with, of course, how can you forget their amazing music. Then after that, we also had artists like Mohit Chauhan, who was with the band Silk Route earlier. Yeah, and they came out with this song, Duba Duba Rehta Hoon. Yeah, you remember this? Does anybody remember this video? Yeah. It's really some amazing stuff came out of that point in time. And KK's most famous songs, like Pal. Yeah, such a beautiful song.
Yeah, Duba Duba Rehta Hoon.
Yes, yes.
Ture.
Yeah, it's a nice accent also. Thank you. Very nice. And Pal, which I mean, made KK immemorable. I mean, today people are singing that song. So from that point in time to now, yeah, I mean, after that period in the 90s, there was this entire gap in the Hindi film industry where there was some typical type of music which was going, and pop stars just vanished. Yeah, I mean, then you had at that point in time also Baba Sigal who come out with his style of rap, and which was again had got popular. Then we had Shubham Udgal ji at that time who came out with the collaboration Ab Ke Sawan Aise Barse with and even Asha ji came out with Janam Samjha Karo at that time. Yeah, then after that again there was this lull which happened, and now I feel probably the COVID gave again rise to an environment where so many new superheroes in the field of independent music have come out. Like apart from you guys, there are also people like Nuclear, Shirley Setia, the F-16s, Duelist Inquiry, Parvaz, Hari and Sukmani, Nicholson, the Local Train. So many other Indians in India as well as abroad have taken up this challenge, and probably COVID acted as a kind of leveler. Yeah, earlier there used to be this entire money power of the film industry, which used to pump music. कोविड ने प्लेइंग फील्ड लेवल कर दिया. मतलब आप जो भी हो, मैं जो भी हूँ, हम सब समान हैं. तो उस टाइम पे इसीलिए एक माहौल ऐसे पैदा हुआ कि आप करोड़पति हो या कंगाल, दोनों एक ही है. And that's why I think probably the pandemic period was the most rich period in the production of new independent artists. And what do you feel about this? I mean, what would you feel? Is there any role model you had from the past in terms of independent musicians? And what do you feel is necessary for an independent musician to thrive, survive and thrive? Praveen, like to hear your thoughts on that.
या जितने भी नाम आपने गिनाए उसके साथ मैं एक और गाना जो मुझे बहुत जिसने मुझे इंस्पायर किया वो था चित्रा जी और सुल्तान खान साहब ने गाया.
Yes, of course. Diya Basanti, amazing.
So देखिए मैं उस जॉनर से अभी भी वाकिफ हूँ और आई ट्राई टू रिलेट टू दैट. यू नो देयर वाज अ नाइस मेलोडी एंड देयर वाज अ नाइस हार्मनी बिहाइंड, एंड यू नो दैट सुल्तान खान साहब्स वॉइस एंड वो जो आलाप था, दैट ट्रेडिशनल एलिमेंट जो उसमें उभर के आता था, वो आज भी मेरे ख्याल में इट विल स्टिल वर्क. यू नो दोज काइंड ऑफ एक्सपेरिमेंट्स वेयर यू आर रूटेड टू योर ट्रेडिशनलिज्म, चाहे वो फोक एलिमेंट्स हो या क्लासिकल हो. आई थिंक दोज आर एंड द मेलोडी आई थिंक प्लेज एन इम्पॉर्टेंट रोल. व्हाट आई हैव रियलाइज्ड इज कि अभी जो म्यूज़िक बन रही है जो पिछले 10-15 सालों में, दिस फोकस somehow has shifted towards sound rather than you know music. Just like प्रताप was mentioning कि acoustic instrument सितार का sound या एक ओरिजिनल acoustic instrument के sounds जो हम लोग पहले सुनते थे बॉलीवुड में, you know, a nice सारंगी आलाप and a beautiful flute phrase, शहनाई. So अभी जो जितने भी so called mass songs हैं उसमें sounds ज़्यादा हैं. They are experimenting with lot of sounds. Even if I record a flute, the engineer and the music director would prefer to you know, squeeze it and add some element to it and make it sound more electronic and some different kind of sound. और जितने भी लाखों musicians हैं, so instead of using them, I don't know why people still prefer to tweak these VST plugins, and वो सुनने में थोड़ा सा शहनाई लगता है, थोड़ा नादस्वरम लगता है, एंड सम फनी साउंड, एंड उसी पर ही काम चलता है. एंड
कॉम्प्रोमाइज होता है
वो, I don't think it is compromise, because the names that are behind these compositions are huge, you know. They don't have to compromise. It's just उनको लगता है कि ये नयापन है, you know, we are trying to give something new. But what actually is happening is you are creating something very artificial, जो थोड़ी देर के लिए अटेंशन आपका ग्रैब कर सकता है, लेकिन it might not stay with the listener for a long time, you know. That's what I feel. But then also I have seen a degradation of real harmony works, you know. background में जो chord work होता था पहले, और जो जिसको हम arrangements कहते हैं, उसमें उसकी तरफ ज़्यादा ध्यान नहीं. अभी कुछ भी चलता है पीछे, मैंने some bass line and the song is something else, the chords are something else. They're only looking at how the song falls on your ears. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि, you know, the way the frequencies hit your ear is what creates that euphoria to the listener, rather than the melody or the logic behind it. So it's more of hitting with that frequency bandwidth is what most of the composers are thinking. That is a stark difference that I see with the composers till the 90s, you know, whether it is independent music or Bollywood music. They still had wanted to create a niche for themselves using traditional value systems. लेकिन अभी फिर मैं देख रहा हूँ कि there are a lot of people who are going back to those roots, you know, trying to create nice melodies using Sufi lyrics and high pitched alaps, and all that is coming back to a great extent. But I still feel that, you know, trying to create melodies that can stay for long should be the USP of independent artists as well, rather than using the electronic medium that we have. You know, the computers can do anything for you for that matter, you know, add chorus, artificial things it can do. But the more you have logically arranged and properly used acoustic and real creative stuff, it is difficult to stand apart. And then the other point that I would like to raise here is the importance of the videos, you know, well shot and, you know, well edited and with a nice storyboard. We used to have those videos which were there. Now, because of various reasons, the videos are, you know, they are just like in audio, because you can edit and create anything that you want, you know. You can create mirror images, you can make it very fast, you can make it very slow. The videos, sometimes I feel they are a little jarring on your eyes, but I think, as you said, this is again a golden period for independent music, because you have a lot of options, you have a lot of opportunities. It's much if you are tech savvy, then you can create many wonderful things sitting at home, but there has to be a balance between how much of technology are you going to use and how much of originality. Because I want to mention one incident before I close. I recently called a very famous playback singer here in my studios to record, and while we were recording, I said, no, we'll take it one more. So this went on for 15-20 minutes. I kept on saying one more take it. Eventually the singer asked, why are you asking me to sing it again and again? I said, no, the producers and everywhere was sitting, so I didn't want to. So I went inside and told him कि थोड़ा सा सुर नहीं मिल रहा है, मतलब फ्लैट हो रहा है आपका गांधार, और ये कुछ जगह पे फ्लैट हो रहा है, शार्प हो रहा है. He said, oh, दैट्स ऑल, डोंट वरी. लिरिक्स अगर ठीक है तो आप रिकॉर्ड कर दीजिए, बाद में मैं मेलोडाइन में ठीक करूंगा. So that is the kind of attitude now the singers are having, कि आप सिर्फ लिरिक्स देख लीजिए, अगर वो ठीक है, एंड इफ इट इज इन, बाकी सब मैं कंप्यूटर में कर लूंगा. This was never heard of, when we actually, I started my career way back with Dr. S.P. Balasubramaniam, Janki ji, and all of them were singing. They were singing live with a 40-piece, 50-piece orchestra. And so with that background, when I see this kind of a thing, then I feel, maybe I should take a step back and look at it. I know it एक आध नोट इधर उधर हो गया तो उसको एडजस्ट करना ठीक है, लेकिन then completely being dependent on software and computers, somehow it's not my cup of tea.
Great. So your advice is to basically keep it simple and focus on the melody rather than and use technology rather than abuse it.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much. And Daval, what would you like to say on this? I mean, what are your views?
When I was young, like all these names that you mentioned, like I was a kid, I used to watch their music videos on MTV, and it totally changed the game. Like from non-filmy, then it diverted to all the reality shows where Bollywood or filmy music used to be played. People went to see all those shows, and then again came back. Now again coming back to independent music. So I think that journey itself is a big inspiration. Like Colonial Cousins was one of the artists that I used to look up, and the way they used to do fusion with Western instrumentation and music. Like, so there are many such artists to inspire. But overall, like how Praveen ji also told, like India में लोगों को music देखना पसंद है. Like YouTube is a big thing, sunna nahi pasand, and that's why like it is changing. Streaming is coming up, artists are realizing they should also put their music on audio platforms, and also to make music which is very relatable, which is very important thing that I have learned as a musician nowadays. That trend has also changed, that the lyrics that I work with and the music that I work with should be relatable to the audience that is listening to me. So that is a very important learning that I learned in this 3 4 5 years. And also one of the big inspiration is my guruji Pandit Ajay Ponkar ji. So he is in his 70s 80s. I still go there and like listen to his all kisse kahanis, and he tells me that like no, the work that he has done in Thumri, उन्होंने उस जमाने में ठुमरी पे इतना काम किया है कि लाइक नो उन्होंने पिया बावरी एक एल्बम लॉन्च किया था उनके बेटे के साथ, एंड दैट एल्बम स्टिल इज बीइंग प्लेड इन ऑल द रेस्टोरेंट्स इफ यू गो इन यूएस. And like that kind of trend our Indian classical musicians have created and musicians have created, जो अभी देखने इतना नहीं मिलता है, that long lasting effect. So I feel like वो evolve होते रहेगा, but there's a lot of things that we young independent musicians need to learn from musicians like who have already done the work in the past.
How has your experience been in the making of your videos? You've done quite a few videos. Is there any advice you'd like to give young composers who are making them videos? How have you used technology in that?
I feel like if I'm spending in a music video, first of all, his budget is very big constraint. If I'm making a music video, almost you won't get a videographer in like 10 15K. At least you have to spend 50 60K. And then गाने पे आप spend करो, आप एक मतलब हो ही जाते हैं 1 1.5 लाख का music video. And then as an independent artist, we are putting 1.50K in one song, and 5 से 10 हज़ार लोग उसको देख रहे हैं. So you are a fool to put out a music and spend so much money. So my basic rule is to first do the budgeting of what sort of music video I'll make and how I'll do the storylining. I don't want to do extensive music videos because nowadays the trend is of short form content. People don't wait for 4 minutes in watching your music video. They want to go to reel, Insta reel, spend 10 seconds, and then they'll do swipe up. So that shift has also been a big, like in this last 2 years, like music videos on YouTube altogether has been like आप पैसे डालो और व्यूज लो, ऐसा हो गया. So for me, spending so much on music videos is not like that I will recommend as an independent artist. And finding a right videographer which works on your budget, which expresses your artist personality. Like there are many directors who will come and say, "Aap andhe ban jao," ya "Aap ye character le lo," "Aap ye character." If you see artists in West, they don't act or pretend to be anyone else. They don't lose their artist character. They are there singing and lip syncing also, and they'll do things. Music video would revolve around their personality. They won't change itself. कोई acting करने नहीं लग जाएंगे. So that is a very big thing that many independent artists, they don't understand. They try to be someone else and they don't represent their personality. At the end, music video is to showcase your face value, to create your face value, to create your brand. That's how people recognize you as well as your music. Especially in India, people would recognize your face first. So yeah.
Thank you. So building your brand, but not at a huge expense. And every brand needs to be seen to become a brand, and the visibility is extremely important. So don't blindly invest on music videos, is what your advice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. प्रताप, आपका इस मामले में क्या राय है, आप जरा शेयर कीजिए।
देखिए सर, प्रवीण जी ने जो बात कही अकॉस्टिक पार्ट को लेकर, मेलोडीज को लेकर, वो तो एक एक पॉइंट गोल्डन कॉइन की तरह है। उनको तो इकट्ठा करके रख के डेली सुनना चाहिए कि एक बार में ध्यान रहे कि हम क्या वर्क कर रहे हैं, क्या नहीं कर रहे हैं। इंडस्ट्री ऑटो ट्यून हो चुकी है। एक्चुअली आज की डेट में ऐसा हो गया है कि पहले के ज़माने में क्या था कि आज भी जो अपने गुरु से शिक्षा ले रहे हैं और जो उस्ताद से सीख रहे हैं, अगर आपके सुर में हल्का से भी ऊपर नीचे हो गया तो आप सीधा कान पकड़ के माफ़ी मांगते हैं, आपको आइडिया भी लग जाता है। और जो प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ आज की डेट में हो चुकी है, और डोंट वरी वी विल ट्यून इट सॉफ्टवेयर, ये जो एकदम ब्रो वाला जो कल्चर आ गया है कि हाँ भाई ठीक है हम कर लेंगे, वो गलती जो है वो नहीं है इसमें। तो पहले ऐसा होता था कि बंदा 3 दिन तक सामने आके बैठता नहीं था कि मेरे से इतनी बड़ी गलती हुई कि मैं चलते चलते। इवन हमारी टीम भी जब स्टेज पे परफॉर्म करती है, जो हमारे सिंगर हैं आसिफ खान, रियल में बात कहनी पड़ेगी, चाहे कितना भी टाइम निकल गया हो, कितनी हाई पिच पे गा रहा हो, एकदम से हाई पिच पे गाते गाते कोई आगे कहता है लग जा गले, तो आपको सुनाना पड़ेगा। अब जब आप एकदम हाई पिच पे डांस करा रहे हो, एकदम से आपको लग जा गले अगर किसी को सुनाना पड़ेगा, तो फिर आपका गला देखना ही पड़ेगा एक बार कि कहाँ से कहाँ पे आपको चेंज होना है। लेकिन स्टिल उन्होंने प्रैक्टिस करके उस चीज़ को वहाँ ले आता है कि वो आउट ऑफ कहीं भी वो लगना नहीं चाहिए कि भाई ये तो आप निकल गए बाहर। तो इस चीज़ का दायरा, जब आप मेंटली प्रेशर होते हो कि मेरे को गलत नहीं होना है, तो इट मीन्स नहीं होना, और जब आप उस प्रेशर में वर्क करोगे तो आप उस चीज़ को संभाल के रखते हो। और आप जब इजी हो जाते हैं नहीं कर लेंगे, तो आप नहीं हो सकते। हमने देखे लाइव शोज, बहुत सारे बहुत बड़े बड़े आर्टिस्ट हैं जो इस फिगर में फीस लेके जाते हैं लाइव शोज के टाइम पे, जो हम इमेजिन भी नहीं कर पा रहे हैं कि ये चार्ज कैसे कर रहे हैं कि सिर्फ 60 मिनट्स 45 मिनट्स परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं, और आप लिपसिंग कर रहे हैं, और आप एक्चुअली ट्रैक यूज़ कर रहे हैं, और आप आगे निकल जाते हो। हम जो टीम पसीना बाहर ये 3 घंटे 2.5 घंटे परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं, और वो जब फीस की मैटर आती है, जब हॉस्पिटलिटी का मैटर आता है, तो चीज़ चेंज हो जाता है। अब खैर ये तो इंडस्ट्री है, मार्केट है। अब जो जितना एडवर्टाइजमेंट हो जाता है, जिसका जितना मार्केट हो जाता है वैसे चलता है। और बात आती है कि इंडिपेंडेंट आर्टिस्ट को वीडियो के साथ जाना चाहिए या नहीं जाना चाहिए, ये बहुत बड़ा पॉइंट है। और इवन हम खुद बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रगल किया इस पॉइंट के अंदर। हमने जितने सॉन्ग्स रेडी किए हैं, हमें वो सॉन्ग समझ में नहीं आ रहा था हम किस वे में वर्क करें या नहीं करें। सर ने बताया जैसे दवल जी ने कि 10,000 15,000 50 के यहाँ तक का जो फिगर है, आप अगर किसी सिनेमेटोग्राफर को बुलाते हो, आप किसी वीडियो की टीम को बुलाते हो कि हमको वीडियो शूट करना है, वो पहले तो आपको जज करेंगे कि आप करवा सकते हो या नहीं करवा सकते हो, बजट क्या है आपका। और अगर आपने किया हमारे 1 लाख का बजट है, सर क्या मजाक कर रहे हो क्या, 1 लाख में आजकल कोई शादी में ये काम भी नहीं करने आता। तो ये जो टर्म्स निकल के आती है, तो आपको समझ में आता है कि आपने बहुत बड़ी गलती कर दी उस चीज़ को बुलाते हो। फिर आप देखते हो कि ठीक है किसी बजट के पास जाएँ, तो अगर कोई अच्छे रिनॉन है तो वो बात करते हैं कुछ 50 लाख में 1 CR में, वो सीधे टी सीरीज़ के वीडियोज़ दिखाएंगे, ये देखिए सर लाइटिंग इतनी की लग गई, आप क्या बात कर रहे हैं, कैमरे का रेंट इतने का आता है, रेड लो, ये लो, एरे लो। अब ठीक है वो सब चीज़ें हैं, बट आप एक बेसिक लेवल पे क्या शूट कर सकते हैं। और आज की डेट में बहुत सही बात थी कि आप ब्रांड को कोई फेस दिखाना ही नहीं चाहता। अगर आपने किसी वीडियो की टीम से बात की कि इनको वीडियो शूट करना, उनका फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी रहता है किसी भी बॉलीवुड या किसी अच्छे इन्फ्लुएंसर को पकड़ो और वीडियो में एज अ कैरेक्टर की तरह यूज़ किया जाए। और सेकेंड पॉइंट, आपको वीडियो प्रमोट करना है तो सबसे पहले पीआर की टीम कौन सी रहेगी, इन्फ्लुएंसर्स कौन से आएंगे और ये यूट्यूब पे कितना स्पेंड करेंगे। अगर आप किसी लेवल के पास जाते हैं वो भी सबसे पहले ये पॉइंट होता है, रिलीज तो करता है बट आप मार्केट में कितना लगा रहे हैं। आपका वीडियो जितना बना है वो तो सब साइड में रखो, अब कितना लगा रहे हो वो बात करो। अजी सर हमने तो हमारा जोड़ चाड़ के लगा दिया तो बचा क्या है, नहीं बचा। आपने जितना लगाया वो ठीक है, अराउंड 20 लाख आपको यूट्यूब में डालने पड़ेंगे, अराउंड 10 लाख इंस्टाग्राम में डालने पड़ेंगे, आपको इन पे इन्फ्लुएंसर्स हायर करने पड़ेंगे। आप ये सोच के देखते हो कि मैं 10 सॉन्ग्स पे वर्क करूं या केवल अपनी लाइफ में एक ही सॉन्ग के ऊपर वर्क करूं।
सही बात है।
आज की डेट
सॉरी आप बोल रहे थे।
नहीं तो बस मैं वही फाइनली क्लोज करता हूँ इस चीज़ पे, यही कह के कि आज की डेट में इंडिपेंडेंट आर्टिस्ट के लिए यही दो एक सेगमेंट रह गए, या तो सोशल मीडिया के थ्रू अपने आप को हिट करें, उसके बाद प्रैक्टिकली लाइफ में अर्निंग के लिए आए, या फिर प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ में एक्चुअल में जेन्युइन ऑडियंस गेन करें, उसके बाद में स्ट्रीमिंग प्लेटफॉर्म से अपने ट्रैक्स को लेकर आए। दोनों में बहुत डिफरेंस है।
थैंक यू सो मच आपका शेयरिंग के लिए। एंड नाउ इट्स टाइम टू come to a close. One thing I'd like to say, it's been truly a pleasure speaking with all of you. And I feel this, the spirit of the conversation was purity, simplicity, and genuinity, which is actually the spirit of independent music itself. And that was the true spirit of the sharing that happened here. I thank Anil Banbari and RadioMusic.com for this opportunity to moderate this great panel and meet all of you. Thank you so much, and thank you Praveen, thank you Daval, thank you Prathap for spending your valuable time and sharing your experiences and insights with us. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much. It was our pleasure.
Well, thank you all of you, and a big thank you to all our panelists for joining us today. It was a wonderful session. Well, before going ahead, guys, with our next session, I would like to address my audience that we need your support to make this event memorable and fantastic. So if you have liked this wonderful session, then I would like to encourage you to go out there, grab your phones and tweet and share your insights with the hashtag IMF2022. Well, moving on to our next session is a masterclass session on how to launch your career in music. I repeat, how to launch your career in music. And to talk about this, here we have our leaders who will shed light on how to develop yourself as an artist and what are some of the digital marketing strategies that will elevate an artist. Let me call upon Arpit Vijay, Senior Leader, Artist Distribution Relations at Believe Label and Artist Solutions, and Shrikant Seshadri, Senior Leader, Artist and Repertoire at Believe Artist Services and Development. Over to both of you. Please take it ahead. Shrikant and Arpit, are you all there?
Yeah, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Hi guys, hi everyone. Thank you so much for having us here. I'm just going to be sharing my screen and then we will kick this off. Okay, Namrata, Arpit, can you confirm you can see the screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Yes, it's visible.
Awesome, great. So thank you so much for having us here. I'm Shrikant Seshadri, and I'm the Senior A&R Lead for Believe Artist Services. And today we're going to talk about how to launch your career as a musician, the opportunities and challenges. We're going to try to keep it quick. We have 30 minutes, so 15 minutes will be taken by me and 15 minutes will be taken by Arpit, who will be taking through various set of topics in terms of how you can get a good head start. And now I wanted to sort of keep it a little bit different in terms of how we can launch our career. So I'm going to be covering two important points. Those important points would be foundations, as well as how you can actually kind of evade through these challenges by accessing different types of tools that might not be easily accessible for a budding musician. However, they're tools that you can use, for your reference or to your own purposes, without really spending too much money as well. So I'm gonna jump to the first slide. I'm guessing everyone can see this. As I said, I wanted to sort of, take some time and talk about important foundations that are essentially very crucial, and also some of the topics that aren't really discussed extensively when you're talking to an amateur musician or someone who's getting into the creative music industry, right? So we wanted to cover this section specifically because it's extremely important, and because they're foundations in any field, let that be academic, let that be information technology. Your foundations need to be super strong so that you're able to set yourself up for success as you kind of wade through the entire music journey process. So setting the foundations of your music career as an independent artist, or as a musician or a music professional, is absolutely important. And how do we sort of go through these 5 different areas of importance? Let's start off with the first and the most important part, being cash flows. I was actually listening to some of the topics that were discussed previously in the last session, and it's interesting that finance, money, all these kind of areas are unsaid discussions and topics, but it's something that actually has very critical roles in everything that you do, right? Let that be you starting up as a musician, you trying to learn certain tools within the music universe, or even being a music professional. So very important. And again, it's an unheard or undiscussed topic, is always maintain your cash flows. And when I'm saying maintain your cash flows, I mean identify different opportunities in the creative industry space that can help you manage these cash flows, and also learn the business at scale. What I mean by that is, if you are a budding musician and you want to sort of be exposed to the music industry, there are many different areas or ways in which you can actually expose yourself, right? And this could be something like, for example, you could work with an events company that is into music or live events. You could work in a content management space, in a music content management space, where you're maybe managing content, you're administrating content, or you're a quality manager in the content space, right? So you can find ways to learn more about the business through that particular field as well. There's, of course, obviously, artists and bookings, which everyone is aware of. We have a thriving Indian nightlife scene, so you could expose yourself to working with different agencies or booking agents that can help you understand the business a little bit better, and also give you the opportunity to grow from one space to the other. There's obviously also, the opportunity of, working under an A&R manager, where you sort of understand how you can actually curate music, how you actually curate talent, what are the different steps that you take to grow that talent, and eventually kind of putting together a successful business model that helps your artist as well as, the setup that you're working for. So cash flow is extremely important. It is a tough market, it's a tough industry, and you need to find ways to kind of be agile in this industry, and that you would only be able to do once you sort of kind of learn the laws of the land. Moving on to goals, very important. Even if you are, again, a musician, or you were to kind of pick up some other field, I'm sure you would want to set certain goals and expectations out of yourself. So it's very important that you're able to set goals, aspirations, and also chart out a plan on how to reach them through various experiences, right? Like I spoke about the first point, you work in a different field within the music space, you'll learn certain things about that space that will make you understand whether you really want to do this or not. So specifically, if you are a musician, try to set out these goals and aspirations so that you're able to work towards something, and you're able to learn through these different experiences as well. So for example, if you're a musician, you can set up, like some sort of a quarterly or a yearly content creation plan, saying that in this quarter, I'm probably going to create, 10 pieces of audios. I'm going to probably create, maybe 15 pieces of audios throughout the year. It could even be 3 or 4, but it's important to set that out right from the start so that you really understand what you're going to be working towards. This could also essentially apply if you're a music professional, where you want to maybe set up a production house or a music studio, or it could even be, a label that you want to set up where you want to feature other existing as well as yourself as talent. So you can learn a lot through this creative process of really setting out goals and aspirations and then working towards them, and there is no harm in you not achieving them, but at least you know how you can stretch yourself. The third most important part that we come across a lot, within Believe as well, across different various departments, when we work with, independent artists, artists who are even established, as a matter of fact, is understanding music business is extremely critical to set yourself up to success. And why I say this is, just being a musician in 2022 and beyond is not enough. You need to understand your rights. You need to understand copyright. You need to understand publishing. You need to understand how your content can be exploited through different sources. Understanding, putting out a business plan, and through this business plan, what are the different rights that I'm ready to give up? What are the different rights that I want to retain? Music business as a large is extremely extensive. In fact, a 15 minutes or a 30-minute presentation also would not really do justice. So it's important that you hone in on these skills, understand music business. There are tons of books available out there. You can go to YouTube. You can try to understand more about that there as well. But it's important that you understand the rights and the laws related to your field, and try to kind of go in with that experience when you're basically putting out content, working with distributors, labels, partners, production houses, whoever it may be. So be prepared to understand what you're willing to give up and what you're willing to take back in return, and make that sound judgment call when you're sort of going through that process. The fourth important point will be collaboration. Extremely important for independent musicians, budding musicians, is work with more creative minds to develop your skills and improve your craft. What I mean with that is, don't limit yourself to only working with yourself. And while that's something that you may anyways do on a day-to-day basis, it's important that you're working with other people through this creative process as well, because you get to learn a lot about them. You get to learn a lot about their technical skills. You're able to judge how your technical skills are placed in this entire context, and you're able to just kind of work in a very community-based system where you're networking, learning new things. You're able to impart this knowledge to someone else, and through this you're able to build a network of people and confidants who can at any point of time sort of assist you, guide you, explain to you things that you might not fully understand in a scenario where you don't have a specialist on board to assist you. So extremely important to collaborate, work with as many people as possible, especially if you're entering into this space for the first time. And it's something actually even established artists do, but their goals are different when it comes to collaboration compared to a goal that a budding musician or a music professional would have. Finally, online presence. We're in 2022. Online presence is social currency. You have to find a way to present yourself. And that is the key in some aspects, because it creates some sort of maybe a first impression as well as a lasting impression as you kind of keep engaging with your users or your listeners or your consumers, whoever that may be, right? So it's important that you set up this online presence for yourself, and you're able to kind of hone in on that too, because your audience will communicate with you. They will want to know more about you. And through this process, there are chances that you will learn some new things about yourself too. So, you got to ensure that if it's not too expensive, but, get some sort of a press photo done for yourself so that you can share this out along with your official EPK to people. That could be, maybe digital stores. That could be someone like, for example, Ghana or Wink or Spotify, whoever that may be, right? You want to share more information about you with these DSPs, as well as other people in the industry. So you need to ensure that you have an EPK that has a press photo, that has some sort of a bio or a description about you, that talks about who you are, what's your story, what do you want to achieve, how are you kind of going about doing that. Ensure that you're completely visible on social platforms like Instagram, Facebook. There are other short-form UGC apps as well that have come out in today's day, where there is a large part of the audience that is also based out of there. So don't shy away from exposing yourself to these different social online platforms, because one, it's an easier way to acquire consumers, and also it is an easier way to talk to your audiences or to your fans in different ways possible as well, other than music too, right? So extremely important to create an online presence, have information correspondence with you at all times that you can share with people, have different types of graphics made for your releases, or maybe for an acoustic song that you're putting out, have thumbnails for Facebook, YouTube, all this sort of in place. And I'll come to the next slide that can guide you through this entire process as well, where you don't really have to spend too much money, or in fact actually not even spend any money, and create really good creatives or graphics through this entire process as well. So don't shy away. A lot of people do usually shy away from putting out an online presence, thinking that they don't have enough content to talk about it. But hey, that is your tool that you need to exploit to talk about what's coming up next as well, as opposed to just talking to your fans or audiences about, hey, listen, I have a song coming up. So be a little bit more out there as much as possible, because in this day and age, it's extremely important. So sort of summing up this slide, know yourself well to establish an authentic brand identity. Your fans follow you because you have a storyline or some sort of a narrative that you set out that they want to follow. So understand what they can expect from you in terms of content, what kind of subcultures, lifestyle, interests that you follow that could match with maybe your fans' interests as well, and make that as a discussion point to talk to your audiences from time to time. Moving on to the next slide. So sort of kind of segueing from what we spoke in our last slide, is that you do not need to get access to free tools, or you do not need to get access to paid tools, or you do not need to spend a lot of money to do a lot of things, especially when you're just getting started. There is a dearth of tools that is available in the internet that you can actually access and still get your work done. And as you sort of reach a certain level within what you're trying to do, you can start accessing different type of paid tools or resources that can help you alleviate your content or what you're trying to do as well. So leveraging free tools and resources that will simplify your music creation and promotion will help you grow over a period of time. So it's important that you have to use this to your advantage. That could be even when you're creating content, when you're talking to your audiences, when you want to look at design, different areas that you can access, right? So here are like sort of 5 different open source tools for 5 different subcategories that you can use to access all these different types of tools. So starting off with audio and video dashboards, this is something I believe we talk extensively to our artists, to our partners, to labels, whoever that may be, is that at this point of time, most digital store providers give you access to their own dedicated dashboards. And you'd be surprised that a lot of people actually don't even know this. And for those who actually know, that's fantastic. And for those who don't know, you can access these dashboards directly through the platform itself. So for example, let's talk about, audio and video dashboards. You have something called as Spotify for Artists. This is basically your own exclusive dashboard that Spotify creates that is linked to your main Spotify profile as well. So that means you can see where your fans are coming from. You can see where's the max number of listeners that you're getting for your content. You can see maybe pitch your content so that your content can get playlisted. So these are different tools that even a platform like Spotify has created that you can individually access. You can use it to your advantage and also eventually pitch and promote your content. Same applies for Apple Music for artists. Same applies for YouTube for artists. YouTube is more of a video platform, but it also has YouTube Music. Same for Apple Music. Apple has a video integration as well as you have an audio integration. So you can find out actually where your audience lies. How do I target or speak to this audience? What is the type of content that I'm putting out and how does it resonate to a particular state or a particular city? There's Artist One by GeoSavan as well that you can access to really micro-target and understand where your listeners actually lie. So you have free access to these DSP tools that all you need to do is register, have a profile, link your profile. When you start putting out content, you can literally even see whatever's going out there, replicating within your dashboard as well. So make use of this tool as much as possible to understand your audience, analyze your audience, and able to react accordingly as you start putting out more content, right? So very important, make use of these tools that stores give you. They're free. You don't need to pay anyone for anything. You just need to link your account. You need to sign in and you're ready to go, right? Moving on to design. Now, this is obviously a very critical feature for all of us because when you're putting out content, you need to have an artwork. You need to have a thumbnail. You need to have social graphics. You need to have artworks that are in a specific dimension for maybe a Facebook, maybe for YouTube. So You do not, when you're starting up, especially, and this applies majorly for talent who are sort of just getting in, don't really want to spend too much money. There are plenty of Photoshop alternatives that are out there that provide multi-dimensional design capabilities, right? Let's talk about a few. You have something called as Adobe Spark, right? You can use that if you understand the tool better. You have Canva, which a lot of us use, which you can use different types of dimensions to create, graphics, to create album art, to create maybe, design posters, create an event invite, whatever that may be. There's also other apps like Trello and Pixlr as well that you can use to create your design content and eventually create high-res versions of it and promote. I'm going to quickly sort of race through the others. You also have an important feature called smart links. It's very important that when you're communicating with your audience, you have a single point of contact for that audience to click on that link and access your music. Right? This could be for music. This could be for maybe live shows that you're doing concerts, bookings, whatever that may be. Right? So you get access to free smart link tools like Feature.fm, Linkfire, Smart URL, Listen to. All these tools give you access to create custom links that can then be posted on your Instagram page, so that whoever your new audiences is, they come in, they want to know more about your content, click on that link, and you have access to all the different maybe songs that you put out, access to different links within these stores that you want people to access to as well. So make use of smart links, extremely important in this day and age. You can also track audience metrics through this as well. So you'll get to know, you can even collect database in terms of email IDs, etc., different things for different goals that you're trying to set up. Finally, coming to DAWs, which is digital audio workstations. There are again plenty of tools out there. You don't really need to spend on a professional version of a Logic Pro or a Pro Tools. You have tools like Audacity, GarageBand if you're a Mac user, Ableton Live Lite, Cubase. All these tools allow you to sequence music, allow you to use multiple instruments, digital instruments within the music. You record your content. So you make use of DAWs that are out there, that are open source, that you can use to your advantage instead of investing in something right now when it doesn't really make sense. But as you progress, yes, I would recommend to moving on to more professional tools that will help you do multiple features as well. Finally, social, as I highlighted in my last slide as well, extremely important to have an online presence. You can use different apps to kind of use that. You have Creator Studio app that lets you sort of, schedule. This is a Facebook app as well that lets you schedule posts from Instagram and Facebook directly instead of using a third-party software. You have tools like Vem.ly that helps you basically post videos from this app as well if you don't want to use Instagram. You have Facebook Pixel, which is sort of a line of code that you can apply to understand audience metrics and analyze your audiences on a more deeper level, right? It's literally a single line of code that you're inserting. You have things like Yellow Duck, which is you want to go live, you don't want to use your phone, and you want to use your laptop. This gives you that integration to use the platform without really having to use your phone as well. So growing your social media accounts, absolute necessity. Make use of these tools as much as possible so that you're able to execute whatever you're doing without really spending too much money, right? So with this, I'm going to basically hand over the mic to Arpit Vijay, and he will take us through some key important bits when it comes to, for example, what is the right release strategy for you when you start putting out your content. Over to you, Arpit.
Thanks, Shrikant. So I'll be taking you guys through the right release strategy. There is, so if you ask me, there is nothing which is right and wrong. Every artist follow a different strategy for the singles, EP, or the album release. But this is something which is common across every successful release, and this is what I want to convey right now. Next slide. Yeah. So there are three pillars. If you look at it, for every release strategy, there is pre-launch buzz, which every artist should definitely plan to put out when they plan to release a song. It should be used to generate curiosity and engagement around your next release. There are various other methods to do it, like motion posters, teasers, doing a live before the release, and this is how you should be going forward. So the ultimate aim here is to create a buzz before release, so that your fans or your followers go and search for your song or listen to your song when it is released. At the time, the second stage is the launch stage, where you should be looking into each and every aspect of your launch across all platforms, whether it is PR, whether it is media, whether it is a digital strategy, or a radio strategy. Whatever is possible at your end, whatever is in your budget, you should definitely take care of that. The more base you cover, there is a higher chance that your song becomes a successful release. The third and the most important thing, which almost everyone ignores, is the post-launch activities. It is very important that once the song is released, you should not be just celebrating your milestones. You should also be looking at create on activities which can help you prolong this buzz. Okay, so if you go on the next slide, Shrikant. Yes. So what artists usually do is they put out a social media post before the release, which is information kind of poster launch, where hey, my song is coming out on this date, and that's it. Once the song is released, they put out an out and out poster, and then when they reach the first million views milestone, they put out a thank you thing, thank you post to their fans. This is usually what an artist follows. Actually, it is not a 3-step process, it is a 13-step process. If you click on yeah, so this is a 13-step process. So song launch is a very important part of releasing your, so planning around your song release. But there are other steps prior to that and post the song launch. As you can see here, is what makes a song successful, or at least take you to that level of being a successful song. So you can always start with a motion poster, a teaser, put out a countdown so that your fans get to know it, change the entire branding around your YouTube page, put out a live session with your fans to interact with them, create that buzz, schedule a premiere for your song launch. As soon as the song is launched, it is very important that you cross promote your song on all your popular videos, so that your existing fans or viewers get to know that the song is launched. Stories and community post on your YouTube is equally important of what you do on your Instagram, because the good part about stories on YouTube is that it reaches audience which is not even your followers. So the more and more you put that out, there are higher chances of gaining new subscribers, new followers on your YouTube page. You have to keep your social media chatter active during the time of release, so that you post out something which resonates with your song launch and keeps the audience engaged. There are various methods to do it. You can have a hashtag activity around it, do fan creations, post cross-share fan promotions on your social. Putting out behind the scenes has also been a very important step with respect to creating buzz post the launch of the song. Once your song is established and stable in terms of your streams, another way to increase the longevity of the song is to have lyrical versions, remixes, and other derivatives planned for your release. And the last and the most important thing is that you should be regular with your milestone celebration. So the first 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million is something which you should celebrate with your fans, because those are the ones who have got you those numbers. Next slide. Yes. Another important thing with respect to audio specifically is the lead time strategy. We have often seen, and in our interaction with the artist on a regular basis, that as soon as the track or the EP or the album is ready, artist has that eagerness to put that out in front of the fans. While we understand that it is important, it usually don't benefit your release. So once it is ready, once your track or your EP or your album is ready, you should ensure that you give a higher lead time to your partners or the distributor who is handling this. What benefits you get when you put out a higher lead time is that your track, your platform, your distribution partner has enough time to pitch that to the platform's editor. So there's a higher chance that you get premium placements or get a marketing plan dependent on various other parameters like artist profile, social stats. What it also does is that, as Shrikant spoke about, all these tools of Spotify for artists or YouTube for artists, they give you a possibility of self pitching the song. So a lot of that becomes algorithmic. So once your song enters the algorithmic push from the editors, uh, there's a higher chance of continued streams over a longer term period. Okay, so this is very important. I think from the key takeaway is that you should always give time to all the people involved in your releases, so that they can help you with that. Uh, Key successful takeaways for your release is, first, I spoke about lead time, pre-buzz. You should have a 360-degree marketing plan, a solid fan strategy in terms of how your you will interact with your fans for the release, and a sustenance plan is very important post the release of the track. Now, the last part and the most important one is finding a suitable distribution partner. When I talk about distribution partners, the distribution partner should have all the services in house, and should also be in a position to guide you with whatever is best at your career level. So Believe delivers solutions to labels and artists at all levels. As you can see, for DIY and self-produced artists, we have TuneCore, which is a 100% tech-based distribution platform on a fixed fee model. Um, uh, if you want Believe to help you to scale up of your growth, there is Label and Artist Solutions, which I am part of. We provide a dedicated label and artist manager to support and guide you on your digital distribution strategy. We also work with you on audience development on both audio and video platforms. We also have a facility of YouTube channel management, and provide you with services where we organically push your track to the editors. The most premium service here is Believe Artist Services, which Shrikant spoke about. Believe Artist Services work with the artist and on a more holistic way to design the go-to-market strategies, which is designed specifically for that artist. So these are the services within Believe which we provide. And if you feel free, if you want to speak to any one of us to get more understanding on each one of it, we are happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Arpit. I think we have crossed the time limit. Namrata, would you like to take this?
Yes. Firstly, a very big thank you for coming and joining us. It means a lot, and I'm sure all musicians are watching this masterclass done by you both. It was a brilliant one, truly insightful.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, viewers, do share your thoughts about the session so far in the chat box. And we would like to hear your viewpoints as well. And also, if you have been following our sessions and have liked them so far, I would like to encourage you to go out there and share your experience on social media through a post or a tweet using the hashtags IMF 2022. Well, moving on to our last session for the day, we have band Agni, who would speak about their journey surviving amidst the pandemic, their indie music scene in India, and will discuss future plans. Deenal, would you play? Yes.
Hello, everyone. This is Mohan. This is Coco, and that's usually how much he speaks. But we are Agni, and we are so glad to be a part of Indian Music Fest organized by radioandmusic.com. We've had an association with radioandmusic.com for a while now, through various interactions from years, I think. I think the first time we did this was close to the time that we launched Agni. So I think we launched in 2007, and around 2009 or 10. Or very close to that was when we had our first interaction with radioandmusic.com. So it's fun to be a part of this, and we are happy to be here. We've been told to speak about our journey. It's strange, but both of us have had this conversation when we were rehearsing just now to celebrate 15 years, that it doesn't feel like it's 15 years. It doesn't feel like it's a large span of time. But when we sat down to rehearse, we realized that, okay, we have some body of work that's out that takes a little time to perform. And if we had to perform all our songs, it would probably take what?
Three concerts at
Three
least.
concerts to finish.
Yeah.
So that's when it sort of
Three
hit
concerts
us.
of 3 hours each.
Yeah. That's when it hit us that maybe we have spent some time in the industry. But for the two of us and for everyone else in the band, honestly, everyone else has also been with us for upwards of 10 years now. It feels like we just met and we just started the band and we just made a couple of songs. And now we're going to make about 100 more and a few more years. That's pretty much how I see it. I'm sure Coco agrees with you, but he must have something else to say as well.
And it's not just been 15 years. That's just with the band. But I think we've known each other for
19 years. 18 years. Yeah. 2003 we met. 19 years. Yeah, neither of us is very happy about it. But we do know each other for a very, very long time. So yeah, very happy to be here.
Never thought that we'd actually end up creating a band and keeping it running for 15 years.
Absolutely.
So it started off with a jam and meeting at various friends' houses and, just meeting casually. I don't even think we exchanged numbers then.
Initially, no.
Yeah. So it was just, and we kept bumping into each other. And one fine day, I gave Mohan a call and said that, listen, you want to start a serious band over because so he said, come on. And
no, initially you just said jam.
No, but
after that,
I cut to the real part.
Correct.
Before the
climax.
Yeah.
Sounds horrible, but yeah. So, but yeah, that's. It was just a conversation. Then we decided to go and record a demo. We did it. We spoke to some labels. We got a deal. We released our album. We had 5 videos. We didn't know what the hell was happening with us, and it sort of just happened.
Yeah.
And but the fun part was when we released all of those things and everything felt like it was going brilliantly. We realized no one in the world really cared because apart from us, no one really knew us for the first year, and which was very strange for us. We did everything by Formula, big label, many videos, MTV and Channel V playing all of our songs all the time, and still no one knew us. And then suddenly one song became a runaway hit, and people started taking notice and listening to our songs. So I think the one thing we've learned from the last 15 years after launch and the last 19 years knowing each other is that we really can't predict anything.
Yeah, there's no real formula.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So for us to try and figure it out didn't make any sense.
I think we were just plain lucky.
We were just plain lucky. Yeah. Some things just fell in place every time that we decided to do something. So we were hoping this is one of those things because this is the beginning of our 15th. No, end of our 15th year, beginning of our 16th.
16th. Yeah.
But this year we're releasing some 25 songs. So for all practical purposes, it's like a nahi padav. So it's a new milestone that we're starting to create.
In the last 15 years, I think it's been such a whirlwind. I think the only sort of slowdown was during lockdown. I think till then, pretty much everything was
that too, we chose it. We didn't want to release stuff during lockdown.
Yeah.
Because we knew that we won't be able to continue releases. The first song will be released on May 15th. It's just the beginning of another 24 songs coming out this year. And I know that even though we've got a target of 25, we might not achieve all 25. We might achieve 20. But the point is we didn't want to stop at 1. And then
go quiet and go dark.
Yeah. So that's why we're glad that we've started this again now, and we're glad to be speaking to you guys just around that time. So it's exciting times for us.
For me, it basically started by getting all the logistics together, and keeping that huge house clean between just the two of us. And
by two of us, it doesn't mean me. He means his wife and him.
Yeah. Sweeping and swabbing and all of that, once I got sort of used to that, then I thought maybe this is the time to really put down some things that I've been putting off for a long time, So me personally, I did a few online courses on production, and I sat down and started getting all my skills together in terms of things which I've been wanting to do for a long time, but when you're in the process of actually executing shows and rehearsals and even recordings for that matter, you don't really get that large span of time. So in those 3 months, I think I tried to get all these things together, and I didn't achieve everything that I wanted to do, but yeah, that is one. It was almost like a meditative kind of state, And after a point, actually, I started enjoying the lockdown.
Oh, lockdown.
Yeah. In the sense, I know it's a weird thing to say, but there was something so calming about the entire thing. There were no pressures to you got to do this tomorrow, you got to do that tomorrow. So after a while, it sort of it became a way of life. And then when it started opening up, then of course there was a relief that okay, we can step out now, we can go out, I could ride my bike, all of that. But yeah, that was very eye-opening, and it was right out of the like a Hollywood scene, one of those apocalyptic movies. I actually pronounced the word.
I don't think you got that right. Apocalyptic is like very disastrous, but still.
No, one of those movies that you see where everything's gone crazy.
Apocalyptic. Fair enough. Okay, fair enough.
So it felt like that.
Very hardcore you are.
Yeah.
But my situation was a little different from his. I got fat because I was just watching TV, and we had so much content to watch that we sort of caught up, and then finally we realized that there's no OTT platform with any content left for us to watch. So we started watching it again. But beyond that, I actually got a good opportunity to jam with my mom and my sister. It wasn't really at home because they were in Chennai, and I was here in Bombay. But we managed to put together a couple of songs where it was the Carnatic side of things. So for me, back to roots, where the Mridangam side of thing, or my mother's compositions and stuff like that, which I might not have had time for earlier, or might not have been able to spend a concentrated period of time to do. I honestly think I could have done it long ago, but somehow this gave me that kind of a window to do it. It gave my mom and my sister also the window to do it. So we could end up, putting out a couple of songs from them. And in fact, Coco and I are also working on one more track, which is my sister's track, which is, again, we're going back to the classical roots. So it's a very different feeling to do something as pure as that, just for the music, not to worry about, what our sound is like or what we're doing. It's just an open field. And there is something to learn in that every time, because there are a lot of rules and stuff with classical music. So that was one thing that I had a good time doing. I don't think I spent much time introspecting, because I'm not that kind of guy. Lots of my friends did. Lots of my friends got very, very fit. So I don't really like these kind of people who do yoga when they have nothing else to do. So I spent some time feeling annoyed at them. Then I got fat. So then I said, okay, they're nice people. So I started getting fit again. So this is overall lockdown, honestly, was a different experience.
Yeah.
It did give us the time to put together all of our material on the audio side, at least, and see, okay, and pick and choose, saying that this is the song we're going to release first, this is what we're going to do later. And we thankfully didn't have a very, like we keep saying, Coco and I are both just inherently optimistic. We're not the kind of guys who are even realists. Forget about pessimists. We are not even very realistic. We are a little more optimistic about the future than most. So for us, it was just a matter of time, and we knew that at some point we'll be back on stage again. We'll be back at doing what we love, and be professional musicians.
We didn't expect it to be 3 long years, but I thought it would be a year and a half. But yeah, it was.
Yeah, but glad to be on this side of it. And hopefully this side of it will continue to be this side of it, and we don't have to worry about any other waves coming in. And we can continue doing, what we love, being on stage, interacting with people, creating music, putting it out, getting people to sing our songs back to us. It's a great feeling.
And one thing's for sure, that after the entire lockdown, all the complaining that we used to do regarding catching early morning flights, it's no more complaints. No more complaints. We'll still wake up and we'll be rubbing our eyes and struggling to reach the airport on time. But this time we don't feel, oh God, do I have to do this? I love even the discomfort of actually waking up after 2 hours of sleep and catching a flight.
He goes 2 hours early to the airport for no reason, so he's a strange guy. But it's so right. I mean, it gives everyone I think across industries, it's given everyone a perspective of how much they actually probably love to work.
Yeah.
And how they would love to go to the office environment or to whatever their place of work is, and continue or resume doing what they did for a living. So it's great to be on this side.
So basically, what's happened over the last 15 years is the amount of independent music that's actually really coming out now. People are finding their own sound. They're also, as against 20, 30 years where everyone is to really look towards the West and, think of the English music, Western music being cool, and Indian music being... so that entire, the thought process where even clubs, when you go to, I mean, you hear a lot of Indian music being played, whether it's Bollywood, whether it's... popular tracks, from the independent scene. There's a certain pride in homegrown music. And that has been growing steadily over the last 15 years. I think the universe is getting bigger, and in terms of independent music. As of now, I think currently, especially with all these OTT platforms and stuff happening, people are getting a lot more exposure to probably better content, and they developing a taste for better content. It's not just a formula commercial film, and I think the same thing is getting translated even with music. So with all these OTT platforms coming out and giving you different kind of content, I think the same thing, if it's translated even to the music scene, the typical commercial formula of creating songs which are, as you might call it, hit songs, or, getting into that, the people are slightly more open to listening to different kinds of sounds. Today, I'll give you a direct example. You don't need to have a typical hero's voice, even in film music, for that matter. You're hearing so many different kinds of voices, and which don't categorize under that typical hero voice, like what used to be Kishore Kumar, and then later on it became Sonu Nigam, or, these kind of people. So it's not anymore limiting, and which is a very, very good thing. And I think over the coming decade, I think we're going to see a lot more where the music industry as such, for the sake of the music, is going to grow, and it's not just going to be a supporting industry to Bollywood. I think artists are going to be known for what they do, and people are going to go out there and listen to artists rather than them being a support system to a larger visual medium like Bollywood. So I think that entire change is happening right across the board, and also, you don't see 50-year-old heroes doing dance moves and then making.
No, that you still see. That you still.
Yeah, in the sense that, but that's not the only thing that's happening. So you're getting to see a lot better cinema. You're getting to see a lot more in terms of music and experimentation with music. It's not just a formula anymore.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great scene, and the bigger it gets, and the larger the universe, the more everyone's going to benefit, including the consumer, the listener. So I think it's a good time to be a musician today.
India, I agree. My only our Coco and I live in two different cities, so we have different exposures to different kinds of musicians and stuff, which is great for us because we end up meeting so many musicians between the two of us. And obviously, if Coco meets someone, and as musicians, I'll end up meeting them at some point, and vice versa. I have ended up meeting a lot of ghazal singers in the last few years who are just outstanding, like Praveen God Gandhi and Prathap Singh Baghel, Himani Kapoor, who are more in the mainstream side of things. They sing ghazals or they'll sing film songs and stuff like that. And but it's a great environment to be in. It's a very Indian style of singing, but it's not really something that we put under the bracket of independent music. Ghazal is a separate bracket of music altogether. It's neither mainstream nor is it independent. It sort of finds its way into multiple films. It still finds its way into a separate mehfil kind of an audience for a live show. So that's fun to see. As far as the other genres of music are concerned, it's great. Like Gully Boy happened, and then hip hop became suddenly the rage for a while. So we know that these trends will keep happening. But like Coco said, the fact that people are more and more open to listening to music that is from here, whatever it is, whether it's rap, hip hop, blues, rock, ghazal, rock, pop, whatever it is, there's a lot of that kind of stuff that's going on. I honestly, personally, I also live under a rock. I don't listen to much music unless I'm pointed towards it. Someone will message me saying that, hey, have you heard this song? It's great.
Or have you heard this band? I mean, and we both actually do live under a rock. So it was probably 3 years after I think Pratik Kuhad released the song we heard.
3 years? No, some 6-7 years.
So that we can't really say that we are completely in touch with what's happening, currently,
but we do listen to a few songs, and that's the side of things which I've honestly not gotten really inspired by most of the stuff that's going on. If you ask us for our favorite indie acts, we'll still look at the Indian Oceans and the Thamal and a Quarter and the Pentagrams and the Parikramas and all of that. Those guys will still be at the top of our list of acts that we'd love to go and watch and have fun at their gigs, because there's a lot of as far as live shows are concerned, it's a different ballgame altogether. It's about engaging an audience for 1.5-2 hours with your performance, not just that's the difference between an indie setup and a Bollywood setup, where a Bollywood setup is a lot about singing a hit song after the other. So typically, when you go to a regular Bollywood concert, you'll keep finding songs that you know. And that's the whole point of a typical Bollywood show, where it is much more about familiarity, people knowing all the songs and singing them with you, and then a little bit of performance just to enhance that entire thing. So it's but as far as the indie acts are concerned, it's a lot more about performance. And even songs like, take us for example, we try to change our own songs that are the most popular ones also. We try and see whether the audience will take it, and we change them around a little bit, or a little more, or a little more. And we keep pushing the envelope, and we are lucky that we have people who listen to us who want to come and listen to that. So it gives us a lot of pleasure doing it. And it gives the listeners also something new to listen to every time. It's not as if they come in there and say, okay, we sing faces in front of us singing the same song that we heard on CD. If for them, they hear a new rendition of it or some variant, and then they go back home with an experience that's new to them for that day. And for us the same.
On tape, a song which is probably 4 minutes, we end up making it a 10-minute song.
10 minutes.
So
that's the kind of stuff I'd love to see. And like I said, we both live under a rock. So it's very, very possible we haven't discovered those people yet. And if all of you guys who are going to be, at this conference and at this festival, if any of you guys know, please send this back to us, because we'd love to watch live shows where,
and
we're
please
going
call
there.
us. Please call us.
Please call us. Yes, that too. Yeah, but we'd love to watch. It'll be good fun.
Basically, it's a very, very simple thing. Don't try and turn into rock stars. I mean, first try and become a musician, because that's the pizza base. You need to first get that down. Remember that people are going to want to listen to you only for your music, your personalities and your look and your your behavior. All that is an add-on. So and stay very, very true to what comes to you naturally, rather than copying somebody, because that originality will come from within. So let that be the driving force, rather than looking at other successful acts and trying to emulate those, because you'll never be the same. I mean, that's the original bit, and you'll always be known as someone who sounds like or copies that person. So try and stay away from emulating. Of course, you need your inspirations, and somewhere along the line, subconsciously, you do end up, following somebody or following a particular sound, whether it's a musician, whether it's a singer, whether it's all of that. But try and stick to your own personality, and be honest with your music. And I think that's pretty much, that's what we did, actually. We won.
We won. But I agree with everything he has to say. We have, like he said, it's we always keep speaking about the song is king. We need to communicate what the song actually says. So any of you who are budding musicians or who want to create music, also make sure that your recordings are as true and honest as possible. A recorded version of a song and a live version of a song need to be different, purely because a recorded version of a song is not a place for you to show skill. It is a place for you to show intent and for you to show honesty. Where the simplest example is, if you want to say I love you to someone, the first thing you want them to do is to believe you. So try and say whatever you say in the song, whether it's lyrical or instrumental or as a vocal performer, say it with as much honesty as possible. And if you do that, then the songs will stay with people. At least it has a better chance of staying with people than something which is purely intelligent. Especially if you're following this format of music, commercial format of music. There are formats of music like jazz and classical, where the whole concept is to explore as much as possible. That's a different kind of music. But if you're looking at,
if you're a song-based,
yes, if you're a song-based act, make sure that your recorded piece, the way you want people to consume the song and for it to stay with them for a long time, for them to come to your gigs and then to hear you and watch you perform the song in a different way, where you can showcase your performance skills, like your vocal abilities or your instrumental abilities. For you to get that to happen, the second part to happen, when people come to your gigs, your song first needs to reach them, connect with them, and they'll have to be able to, they'll have to want to come and see you perform live. For that, we need to be, that's why we're very careful when we record. Sometimes we decide to go the opposite way. We decide not to be careful and just record and behave as if it's a rehearsal or it's not even a take, where do it as smoothly as we can, and then see whether we want to tweak it and make it sound more refined or not. So sometimes raw is even better in certain songs. So there are many songs of ours where my first take will be there. Like Kuch Devas, the first album, was one of those where it's just one cue take and that's the final take.
That was the final take. Yeah.
Not that I couldn't have sung it better or differently or more, in a more refined way. It was just that we felt that feel was correct, and it communicated the meaning.
Yeah, even for that matter, Kaise Ho Tum, when you did the first take, I mean, I was on the opposite side when Mohan was singing, and I was really happy with the take. It was sounding beautiful, and Mohan has these serious chops when it comes to classical type of singing. And I was really, really happy. We were listening. We popped in the CD in the car and we were listening to it on the way back. And Mohan just said, I think I've done too much. I just want to redo this. I said, are you mad? It's sounding fantastic. But, on the hindsight, I think he was right, because when he went back and did a simpler take, I think it did more justice to the song. So he was singing for what the lyrics were saying, rather than showcasing how well he can sing, For that matter, even when it comes to playing guitar parts, I like to always remind myself that I'm playing for the song. Yeah. I'm not trying to showcase Coco, the guitar player, for Agni. I'm trying to be doing a song a service and not the other way around. So these are certain things which have helped us not only to keep the songs honest, but also overall in life it's kept us sort of grounded. So I think that's pretty much all the advice, and that's quite a lot of it.
But having said all of that, just you need to know that we don't also always get it right. No one does.
Yeah, no one does.
So, but the intent is that. So sometimes we don't get it right and we don't realize it, and then later on we feel like, 10 years later, we're like, okay, maybe this could have been done a little differently. But yes, as long as the intention is great, you don't feel bad about it later. So that's all we could share with you guys. We just released our first single for the year called Kya Main Kya Tu. It's written by Amitabh Bhattacharya. And it's sort of our first release after a few years. It was supposed to be sometime around 2020, but we decided to release it now because of the lockdown and all that. We have another 24 songs coming out this year, of which the one exciting thing that we're going to start off with before we even release our next new song is to put all our stuff from 2008 till now, which is so far not available on any of these streaming platforms. All of those are going to be available coming, by this month end or the first week of July. So we're going to be doing that right now. So finally, all those people who've been asking us, why the hell aren't your songs on, anywhere to consume, and we have to find some random versions on YouTube, will not have that complaint anymore, thank God. So we're doing that, and then we're releasing all our new songs one by one. It's even the second song has been written by Amitabh again, and for the foreseeable future, in the next few songs are going to be songs that are written by Amitabh that we're releasing. So it's great fun. There's we will reveal things one by one as they come on. But this much we can tell you that the next 12 to 15 months are going to be completely insane for us. Yeah,
it's going to be a very, very busy time for us, in and out of studios and
live
recording and of course live shows. That's the bit which we really enjoy the most.
Yes.
So yeah, that's the plan for the next foreseeable future.
All right. So where the songs will be available, like on YouTube or on streaming platform, like where?
We've launched our YouTube channel. Thank you for asking.
Yes.
Because we're very bad at this. We don't typically say where the songs are going to be. We just randomly say they're going to be out. It's on YouTube. We have our channel, which we just launched with our new song. It's youtube.com/c/Agni. And it's it's our official Agni channel now. So henceforth, all of our songs, including the ones that we released, we are going to, all put out our library of music that we've released from 2008 till 22. All of that music will be available on this channel on YouTube. Plus, of course, on the Agni page everywhere across Spotify, iTunes, Gaana, Savan, etc.
Everything.
So all of those will have all of our songs from now. And yes, this is where you can consume us. Of course, we're on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, everywhere. We're Agni Live. So that you can find us there. Although, to be honest, we are not very good at social media. I don't think we'll ever be. But yes, you'll find some updates there. You'll find reasons to, at least you'll find announcements on where to find our songs. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. I mean, with the last question, we come to an end of this amazing chat. And thank you so much for coming on board and being our guest speakers for IMF
Pleasure.
2020.
It was totally a pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much. I mean,
Thank
you all have said so many good things that people are going to like really love and get inspired from.
I hope so. I don't know. We have a habit of going on and on. But yeah, if
Yes.
I hope
No,
you guys
it was
get
lovely. It was lovely.
Thank you,
Honestly.
Namrata. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you,
Yeah,
Coco and Mohan.
yeah.
Bye-bye. Have a
Bye-bye.
nice day. Well, that was Agni Ban giving some interesting insights. And well, guys, like any other summit is incomplete without its speakers and its audience. I would take a moment to thank everyone for joining in today and being a part of our journey at the Indian Music Fest 2022. Please have a look at the agenda for tomorrow, 16th and 17th of June, where we will have sessions on how the advancements in technology are shaping the music industry. We will also have a masterclass on songwriting, and we will have independent musicians come and speak about Sufi, rock, electronic, hip hop, and a lot more. Well, make sure you log in tomorrow at 3 p.m. sharp and stay tuned to Indian Music Fest 2022. Your host, Namrata Kale, signs off for the day. Have a great evening. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow, everybody. Bye-bye.